What? You can only do it.
Selfie version?
Yeah.
I think James might pull up tonight.
Which one? No, he not.
Oh.
He asked me for the link.
Oh, Stephanie definitely comes.
She
said.
That's what she said.
I know Todd can make anybody. I think he goes further. Todd. He'll break one. Josh actually linked on a lot of things. Like a lot of coming out. Todd is doing like,
Alright.
almost.
So, Bailey, you just like now let us kind of scoot in a little bit. Everybody else good.
But he's a great guy. Great. And Todd, I told you, do a lot of organizing in the community. So, definitely.
I really highlighted it. I don't do a lot of other stuff. I didn't highlight the people at all. Yeah, I highlight the people that really do it.
How much
I don't take the big credit.
Yeah, that's a surprise. Right.
I do podcasts. But I do live again. I always try to highlight who actually do the work. Try to do a fundraiser for nonprofit. I always say you want to take a year. It's going to call this year we're doing help. I might be looking back on. So helping in college. So people they still have programs in this family. Just 30 minutes.
Hey.
So, I mean, they already make big moves anyway with their other stuff. They got notarized. They were in what's the city? I mean, so yeah, they got like they took out the street, sell it on the bottom line. I'm not like it's how yeah, it's really cool. That's how far they took out the street. My members taught how to make that was the first one. Yeah, we used to show my t-shirt. Yeah, I'm pretty sure definitely one. Seven person coming from way out. I told you.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to even, it wasn't even going to be words. Like, I tried to start with small and that was while we were 18. They are, but you gotta know it's I thought I was going to die.
Y'all go ahead, Rob. You kept walking on. Because
We live,
the one that's closest to the the others, she way out my phone in the rain back because of the time.
I just feel like, I think it was yeah, and it's very far.
These are literally right there. Can we turn that just a smidge? You got to turn it over.
One, two, 1, 2.
That's so y'all can be sleeping out the mic.
You done heard a little bit. You done heard these things.
Our sound will
But y'all sound good.
Alright, so look, this is our like they gonna be on the speaker. So it might, also they come through the speaker who's gonna come and speak.
Yeah.
Back. So it's gonna sound a lot different. Well, I mean, good stuff. Let me know. You ready? So what it? I'm gonna start doing the countdown. Five. All right, everybody, about to start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Y'all already know who it is, what it is, where it is, but we different. We somewhere different now. And what it do? You know what I'm saying? We're in our usual trap spot. We are in our professional spot. Now, Black Men and Cigars, the podcast. You already know who I am. Fear Coach Nikos, a.k.a. Dark Knight, a.k.a. Black Bruce Wayne, a.k.a.
Tell me when you gonna buy a real couch.
And we got Mark here on the podcast.
Hey, y'all know who it is. It's Mark Anthony, a.k.a. Marcus Major. A.k.a. Same Man, Different Hat.
A.k.a. You gonna get another shirt? I'm tired of you.
Damn!
He got 2 go-to shirts.
No, I got like
he got a thermal neck hoodie, and then he got this little the schoolboy 90s rap
Gucci. Not gonna do that. Now my closet looks like Doug Funny, so I got about 3 of these shirts. So
that's a fact.
Definitely like a sitcom.
So we.
And that jacket look the same.
Whimsy. Okay. Well, we got two official new guests today on the podcast. 2 very, very special guests. You know, we can even say pioneers at this point, especially when it comes to Atlanta cigars, cigar life, leaf life. We're gonna have these 2 gentlemen introduce themselves. We're gonna start off with the owner himself, the boss himself,
Bailey.
You know what I'm saying? And then we're gonna go with my guy over here, John, and we're gonna talk about what's so special about both of these guys.
And the biggest thing we want to say thank you for coming to the event, to using us as a platform to discuss it.
We gonna have you in the mic.
The baritone, baby.
Hey, there we go, baby.
There we go.
I love the 80s, baby. Let's go.
Yes, we just want to say thanks. But we just want to say thanks to everyone that came out.
Yeah.
Definitely using this venue, definitely with these 2 gentlemen that to me are pioneers as well. To be able to talk about Black life, Black things, and all the things that make us who we are, and that allows us to progress, hopefully.
And this is our first live event. Again, we're at the Blends 2 here in Hapeville, Atlanta, Georgia. This is our first live event, so usually we do these recorded. Y'all already know if you've been in the we want to say the dungeon with us. You know what I'm saying? Recorded. You know we have a good time. Everybody coming there all hesitant today, see the equipment and like, oh y'all for real, y'all professional. We have a great time. You know. So we're gonna have the same thing today. But John, I want you to also tell them a little bit about yourself and you know, why you're Mr. McDonald. He gonna ask me, how much you know about McDonald's? I'm like, yeah, I know a little bit about that. Well, you know what they built in that jail at? No.
My name is John Wilkins. I own Blue Cigar Lounge in McDonough, Georgia. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, I'm looking forward to tonight. We're going to have a good conversation. Let's get it.
All right. We also want to thank everybody on our live. We streaming on YouTube. Black Men and Cigar podcast on YouTube. We also streaming on Facebook on my personal page, Mark Anthony, and also on
Black Men and
Cigars podcast page. So,
right. Oh, I was just gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say. All right. So, but real quick before we jump into the topic of coming, we got a real crowd back. I know you can't see none of them. You can just see teeth and glasses. Oh, yeah. But you know, we got a real crowd in the back, so y'all can get real time response. Usually I'm reading comments and responding to comments, but this is real. But before we jump into it, I gotta tell the backstory real quick of how me and John connected and met. Because if you know me, a lot of the time I can come off and be stoic or sometimes aggressive. If I meet you for the first time, especially.
Yeah, or a dick. Yes, some people.
Some people can say, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, those people don't matter like my grandma. So John, tell me how about it. So I'm gonna tell you. Whoa, hey, Grandma, I can't grandma on that. Let's see. I had to get myself. But listen, blame it on the police. I want to say this. So, and things was going rough for me. I got out of a bad relationship. I was in a bad mood. It was bad. So I went to this. I was looking for my Cigar Squad because I gotta have my stove. And I pull up on this store, and at that time period, it looked like a makeshift gas station. And I walked in, and it literally looked like the china that your mom used to keep the dishes in. You know what I'm saying?
No, we had the African. We just had African face masks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's too expensive.
Well, if you lived in apartments, you had the face mask. But if your grandma owned the house, she had the china stuff. So my grandma, so I walked in, I see this china thing with these cigars in there. Yeah, I was like, okay, he got a little small selection. Everything was just crowded, and I just saw this black man come to the front. He's like, hey, how can I help you? I'm like, you need my help right here. I was just like, yeah, he's trying to tell me about. Go ahead, tell me. You told him. No. He got to tell you the rest of how it works.
Well, first it was cigar cases. Cigars were sitting there, and we were starting off. And if you visit that, you see the growth. You definitely have a walk in the door. It's a nice selection of cigars, but you got to start somewhere.
Big
All right, so I see this big guy coming in.
Damn so big. Cut a new hole in it.
But we had a few sticks that were really selling, better than others. So I told him about this one particular stick. And me being a man just like anybody else, I'm not going to tower down.
Yeah.
So I told him about this stick. He looks at it. He looks at me.
Bruh, straight face.
I'm going to let you know if this shit trash, I'm going to tell you this shit trash. I said, no problem, bro. Next thing I know, next week,
Hey, every day I came in buying that stick for like 3 months straight.
And then when I was out,
man.
I caught him in the door. I was like,
Man. And the beautiful part was seeing the progression of John's business go from this makeshift place and his dream and vision it really turned into a beautiful lounge. Like it's really that's a real lounge. Like
That's actually my hideaway. I normally come in there by myself. No more hideaway now. It's on YouTube. And he would say, hey, you know what you think about? I said, nah, bro, I'm good right here. This is mine. And I got one chair I sit.
Yeah.
And if I see somebody in, I have to go over and say, look here, you got it. That's my chair.
Yo,
I'm in there for a couple of hours and I'm out.
And that's the thing, like, man, John, so if you ever have a chance, if you far south in Atlanta, well, McDonald's, it's kind of his own little Atlanta now. But if you're in McDonald's, you got to stop by John's Spot. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. And the thing about it, it's very community oriented. So they do, cookouts, everybody's family, they welcome you, appreciate you. Mark been there before. But,
so that's Miko's spot. This is my spot.
oh yeah.
So I love Lance. My homegirl came. She's like, you want to go to karaoke? I like, I don't sing. I can do a little bit.
One of them types that walk around the house and sing.
It's super annoying. You know what I'm saying? But it was karaoke. No, it was game night. Matter of fact, because I met your homegirl, and we don't care. I met your homegirl, and we played spades. They whooped our ass a couple times. We bounced back. You know what I'm saying? It was the bounce back was on camera. And then after that,
is this before the ring or after the ring?
What? This ain't big.
Oh, we gonna talk about this. Go ahead.
No, we not.
All right.
This ain't about that. So
it's the drink, yo. It's
drinking grapefruit juice, water. So I came here to blend that one time, and I get the luxury to work from home. So I came another time, and I kept coming. But from the first time I got to meet Bailey, you know what I'm saying? It's always something to be said about you being in the spot, it feels comfortable. It's, y'all can't see the decor on live, but the decor is nice. The neighborhood is good too. He got me because he said, yeah, every time y'all see the train, you get a free shot.
Oh, for real?
I'm thinking it's March. I said, we're about to get lit.
Hey, for real? Like what train?
It's like a cargo train.
Oh,
So it might come 3 times a day.
Oh, it's that.
So I didn't know that. He's like, you gotta see it, you gotta go to the bar. I'm looking. I sat right here so I can look to see this train come. I'm not talking to people like that. I'm listening to the music, but I can't even play spades because I need these drinks. And Marta come every 5 minutes. So, needless to say, I got one.
I like that. That's clever. I like that. And what did you think about when you first saw him?
Hey, what?
Man, cool.
Different perspective.
Yeah, man, cool dudes. But he got mad at me. He didn't finish the story. He got mad.
Yeah.
He said, you didn't tell me about the train. I said, hold on, bro. I don't remind you. I gave you the heads up. And the whole point of it is when you see it, you'll see people run to the bar and, I want my free drink. And so that's cool. You know, and typically it's a train, a picture of the train at the bar. And that picture reminded us of the actual train. And I'm not the only one that actually does it. So the bar across the street, Corner Tavern, told me how they did it. And they said, hey, typically this is kind of the way of Hateville. So, you know, when you're in Rome, you do as Romans. But it's a good little look to say, hey, you know, the train run by, if you catch it, you come and get it done.
So I want to ask y'all both this, because y'all, you know, since we in our entrepreneur section, you know, career section of the podcast, we always try to give game and give highlight to black-owned businesses, especially those that are headed by black men, because, you know, we get beat a lot in the media just being known or popularized for just being entertainers and consumers. And when there's a lot of black brothers like you out here who are out here really building real businesses that are not only hiring people and helping them build generational wealth, but you are staples in the community, you're paying taxes. So politicians are coming to you all for advice, and you all have a real influence on the direction of the future of this community. So what made you both choose, who made you choose McDonough location? What made you choose this location?
This location is considered the last frontier of Atlanta as a whole. And they have a big, you heard of the Beltway and a lot of the construction and ideas that the city and the surrounding cities have. Hayville has a whole 5-year plan. And next year, the start of, or actually the second phase of that plan kicks in, where they have new condos, new eateries. They want you to be able to walk around and have a good time. They have a park next door that they have a lot of different events, a lot of charities. And thinking of the politicians when I first got here, I didn't feel welcome, to be honest. The police did come a lot. And when we had a sidebar, and I actually went to the city council meeting, which as black men, we don't do. And that's the problem. And until I went in, showed who I was, I had VPs from Home Depot, because I used to work at Home Depot, neighbors who patroned the place came, and 2 good friends of mine came as well. And to talk about what the vision was, and that we're not Central Station, we're not a club in that way, we're a lounge.
Central Station.
Hey, and I have no problem with Central Station, but I understand when you're a club that there comes with certain elements.
Oh, big fact.
And so Hayville was, I think, tainted by that.
Yeah.
And until the mayor sat right here, and 2 of his councilmen sat and had a cigar, we sat down and talked. Everything stopped. I don't have those issues anymore. But to answer your original question, because I feel like we can be a hole in the wall that's not a hole in the wall. It can be a staple, right? We talk about charity events, we talk about how we give back, but we have to see the dollars though, right?
Yeah.
But we're all consumers. Even if you're a owner, you are a consumer. The only difference is you're taking those consumptions and you're selling. And you're trying to turn a profit and do good things.
But why a cigar bar? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been in this city smoking cigars for a minute, and I never ever thought about coming down here for a cigar because it wasn't really anything. anything notable, anything credible for me to come down here and visit, for a Stogie.
Well, you answered the question. Do you go where everyone else is at? You don't. You go where they're not. You go where it's not saturated. You go where you can build a regime. This dream was not just mine. It was me and my best friend. About 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that was a discussion. Still a discussion to do one together. But we love cigars. We've been smoking cigars for a while. And it was a gentleman sport for a long time. It's transformed to something else, which I think we'll get into. But that was a gentleman sport. You left your home or you left your girlfriend or wife to kind of get away and go talk with the fellas and sit down. And then you come home though. We have the weight of the world on us. And so the sipping on a nice bourbon or whiskey, to have a stogie was our relaxation. And then we get to talk about what's hampering us that we probably couldn't figure out, but maybe you two can help us figure it out. And then when you get home, you're ready for the world at home, because that's a whole different world. So as men, this was our getaway.
Boy, you've been working on that, man. Captivating. You got a business plan.
Mine's gonna be as but no, honestly, I didn't have any major issues with opening up, which was great. I chose McDonough because the cigar community is huge, and lounges are popping up everywhere. I mean, Atlanta is just crazy. So I decided to come further south, because one thing I know is everybody smokes cigars. People smoke cigars everywhere. Came down south. McDonough is steady growing. They're about to put an aquatic center. We have a Dave and Buster's over there. It's right.
Y'all on the map now.
But it's steady growing. One of the biggest things that really attracted me to my location is there's at least 8 to 9 hotels, nice hotels, within walking distance. So me knowing that, me knowing that people smoke cigars, I knew I was going to get that traffic anyway. But what I was counting on is once COVID kind of got a little relief and people start traveling again, those hotels are going to start filling up again with people, whether it's baseball tournaments, softball tournaments, whatever, like it used to be. I was going to capture that traffic as well.
That's why I ended up in your shop, because remember COVID was happening and all the other cigar shops closed, and it was his and the white dudes that was open. Now, as a cigar smoker, I knew the white dude was taxing super high on his cigar, and I was like, nah, I'm not going no more. Plus, I'm big on support my people, but two, I knew he was overpricing his product, so I felt like he was getting over me 2 times because he's a white man. And then that's why I ended up at John. And John's spot just, when I tell y'all overnight, his spot became a beautiful spot, man. Like I went from just going there to pick up that special cigar to to before work to then just working there and just being there, just chilling. Like
the Holiday Caribbean women.
I see him though. I thought we were gonna leave that story back.
All right, so
go ahead, John. Finish the story.
But no, I think it's a great location. It's right out in the state. That right there is our catching. And again, like they said, we're here to make money. That's what the bottom line is. But at the same time, we want to be a contribution to our community. I want to be a staple. I don't want to just be a cigar lounge. It's just there. I want it to be a destination. You know what I mean? So knowing that you're going to come there, you're going to have a great time, have some good conversation, and you're also going to have a nice selection of, to choose from. So that's what my mind's, and I want to stay traditional as possible. Everybody has their own lane, and I ain't mad at anybody that chooses their lane. My lane is to stay traditional, as possible.
And I love that y'all two support not only each other but other owners. Like I see y'all at a lot of other cigar owners or cigar influencers events, and I think that's so dope, man. Because prior to you all, I'm being honest with you, you didn't see that. you know, you didn't see cigar owners or managers even of different places venturing out to each other's and highlighting and supporting them on their social media pages.
Well, let me say this: how do you consider yourself or call yourself a community if you don't do that? You know what I mean? If you don't, I'm not saying you got to go to every single spot and so forth, but if you don't venture out, how do you consider yourself a community? Because a community divided is not a community.
There's a couple of different sides of that coin. When you're starting one and you're building a certain business model, your time is limited. It doesn't mean you don't want to get out. You just don't have the time. So you have to almost put it on the calendar, like I'm going to make the time. But the first 6 months, even the first year, I will argue I get back to. You know, and it all depends on the size. It depends on what business model you have. As Don alluded to, he's keeping a traditional business model. That is, the transient is more important than the sitting at time. So you'll go buy 4 or 5 cigars and you got it. He's cool with that. And you can sit down if you want to. He's cool with that. My business model is a little different. You know, so I need you to sit down and chill out, have a drink, you know, listen to music. We got DJ 1-2 and DJ Tig. These guys are monsters. So we bring them in to hype you up a little bit, but we've had conversations with our DJs that everything's not a hype model. Mix it a little bit, because even if you went to church, you know, when they pass the pot around, who's talking? It ain't the preacher. It's the choir, because it's controlling your emotions, and so you have to be cognitive of that. And that's why we talk about being in a club. That's different. They want you on 10 all the time, so that brings a different element. And so, as an owner, you have to understand what you're doing and why. But I think we've been open since February 12th, thereabouts. So I think in the last 2 months, I made an effort to go visit other places. John's place was because I live in Stockbridge and I passed it. Pull on over here.
I said right there off the highway.
Right off the highway.
And it's to a subway, you're hungry.
Well, that's what I was about to say. He talked about his hotel. You can't get to the Chick-fil-A though.
You might
that's traffic, yeah. You can be sitting there for an hour and get pissed off. Like, I don't even want to sit down. But he has a lot of eating too. So he's comprised of about 3 miles of good traffic. And I'm bringing that up for a reason. I don't know if people know Hateville is only 2.8 square miles. So own your block, and you can be okay. You know, so if you haven't done your market research, understand why you're gonna miss the ball.
So you talked about you want your model to be more traditional. I know Bailey and I definitely spoke about the notion of blends, the idea of blends, because you don't just do cigars, you also do hookah. So can you talk about why that was a
2 things. The honest part is hookahs turn big profits fast. That's one. The second thing is if everyone knows.
Any ladies in here smoke hookah? Make some noise.
Pico smoke hookah love.
Hey, hookah's next year on me. Next year.
Wait, that's Bailey.
Everything. You gotta see me out. I get you a hookah. The other part of that coin is it's very difficult for this business model because cigar smokers do not like any other aroma in their element. And typically your mental is if you do hookahs, there's a younger variation that comes with it. But that's a fallacy of thought. At blends, we're average of 35 to 50. I think we can mix pretty well in there. It's when you get below that 35, you have some problems. But I do believe that blends can blend that idea because it's aristocratic when it started. Whether it's Sicilian or Turkish and over to the Arabs, when they sat down, somebody had a hookah burning their type of tobacco, or they had leaves burning their type of tobacco. But they sat down as men talking about business. So the question is, as African Americans, can you get past the fallacy of thought that that's it? But that's my belief. but so I'm fighting for that business model.
Oh, one last business question. I think this is a big topic because we're seeing a lot of creditors pop out, credit helpers pop up out of nowhere all of a sudden. And yeah, you can get $100,000 loan, start you an Airbnb, right? But you all having a brick and mortar business, I want to talk about the funding aspect of what it takes to really get the bread to start a brick and mortar business. And then at what point do you eventually start to see some type of return, like a realistic view of when you start to see some type of return on business? Because I asked that because a lot of blacks who aren't entrepreneurs or don't come from that family background, they have this very IG sauced up view of what business is. They think if they start a business tomorrow, it's supposed to make them $100,000 tomorrow.
As soon as you post
right?
an IG
As soon as, and then when they make their first post, when nobody engages, the very next post is, don't nobody support you, not your friends and not your family, but strangers do support you. So it's you being two black men, successful men, even prior to this, how did you all get the funding to be able to start these businesses? And at what point did you all see that, okay, this isn't, I'm not just throwing money in the water hole, it's starting to make some type of return?
I'm going to tell just a quick story. It may not make sense to anybody, but owning a lounge was my dream for years. As I got more into cigars, my dream turned into owning a cigar lounge where, if need be, I could run the lounge without having to have staff or 8 or 9 people to deal with. But I just didn't have the finances to do it. Early 2019, I went to a palm reading.
Where did you meet this palm reader?
Well, actually, a friend of mine, she had a Groupon. And she was like, yo, you want to go to this? She was like, yo, you want to go to this? I was like, all right. So she told me a couple things, quite a few things. 2 things that she told me was, one thing she asked me was, are you thinking about opening your own business? I said, yes. I said, but I just don't have the funds to get it going right now. She said, keep your ears and your eyes open. Very soon, something's going to come your way. Literally, a month and a half, maybe, I went to my favorite Mexican restaurant, sitting at the bar. The owner came up to me, no lie, and he just came out of the blue and said, John, you should think about opening a cigar lounge. And I said, yeah. I said, but I just don't have the funding to do it. And he looks at me and said, let's do it.
Hold on, with the gold teeth and all, he looked at me and said,
with the gold tooth and all. Not teeth.
There's one,
not
bro.
The gold teeth and all.
Offset.
And he was like, let's do it. And from that day on, he gave me funding to get it going. And I haven't had to touch or talk to him pretty much since.
Taco Tuesdays and having
and second, the lady told me that towards the end of the year I would meet my soulmate, and in November I met my now wife that same month.
Oh,
that same year.
That's a black love. Y'all. Church. Man, this is the church. Okay, cool.
Mine definitely don't have a woman involved. Actually, now think about it. We had issues with it.
So you got a co-owner of the cigar lounge.
Negative. I started not here though, because this is when it was 2. So I used to go to a spot called Smoker Room on National. I mean, I was there almost every day. I mean, if I flew in town and I ain't had to go to the office, I'd be lying over there. Had my laptop out doing my thing until everybody came. You know about the Smoker Room, it's going to be crowded, it's going to be rowdy at a certain point on National Highway. And Nikki owned a Smoker Room at the time.
Shout out to that check cashing place on National Highway.
I don't know if y'all know about Nikki, but she died a couple years back in a car accident. And then her father took over, Papa Nick. He owned several lounges, of clubs actually, on National. And Christine, who owns LSF, Lipsticks and Fingertips,
I know her.
was the original owned the humidor at a smoke room and she pulled out. So I got a telephone call from Poppy out of the blue. And he said, hey, you know, you've been here all the time. You've been talking about you want to do something. Take this as an introduction spot and take over the humidor. I had a week to prepare, get the money up, and start out. And the way I did it was I put about $3,500 in more at that time. It was about $3,500 worth of sticks, and I just flipped them. I had a job, so I didn't need the money. So I put about $3,500 in, and every profit out of it, I just kept adding boxes. So in about 2 months, I had a full humidor. And that humidor holds about 100 boxes, and he can do the math quick. So it was a significant investment that I really didn't have to invest.
So you started out with your personal life.
Yeah.
You started flipping that.
Yeah.
From a humidor.
From a humidor.
That's crazy.
Now, when I did this, I took my personal money. And because of brick and mortar is different, because I gutted this place and started over. This was a retail nail salon, and they did retail clothing in the back. And it was partitioned off a lot. And it was a drop ceiling. So I just, coming from corporate understanding construction, because I used to work in a construction firm, I just GC'd the whole thing myself. So it took me about 2.5 months to build out. Once I built out, it was basically just throwing parties and having bands 3 days a week to get people in the door. So it was the seed money I had to put in was quite extensive.
Gotcha.
And then I peeled back and started controlling the cost more. So to answer your original question, it took quite a bit of my capital to put in. I did take advantage of PP loans towards the February, March area because I had another lens one. I was able to use that and get PP loans, and that kept me moving without constantly touching my savings. Now, the hardest part if you have a kitchen, which I don't, but I have to serve food because I have a bar. So if you think about a brick and mortar that has a kitchen, has a bar, and sells cigars, those are 3 different things.
Yeah.
Right? There's labor intensive to that. Because a hookah takes time, so that a bartender can't do the hookah, right? And in the cigars, you need somebody over there because you can stick your fingers in.
Oh, it's a fact.
You know, so and then you want somebody that understands cigars. So you're talking about a lot of disciplines of labor to come in, and the pay difference is the pay difference. So it will be probably about 1.5 years, 2 years before I, in my mind and in my paper, see my returns coming back. But that's typical. You start off with a normal lounge or club with sports bar. It's called a sports bar. You should not expect the profit for 2 years. 3 years.
Say that again.
And that's the low end.
Say that again. They think, so many black, and again, it's the Instagram influence culture. They think they're going to turn a profit and be this success story, this overnight success story. When all the success stories that they see, it took years on the back end before you ever saw this story come about. To you, it's an instant success because you never heard this person or met them. But it takes years. But you have to have that mentality. Going to it, you're not knowing, with the understanding that you're not going to turn immediate profit. That 2 years, I think that's pretty reasonable.
It is reasonable, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You got to have some duckies in the bank. The other thing is this:
you have to do school runs.
Not too many people actually build a business plan. We have an idea, we go with it, and then we go down the path. But you really didn't put the math to your idea and say, okay, well, how am I really going to build this out? I didn't know how much DJs cost until I had to start talking to them. And I negotiate the hell out of it. Bands too. A couple of them mad at me.
You had to go to a high school recruit.
What? And you get fortunate that it's not. Let me say this before I say what I'm going to say. My DJs, I think I can put up against anybody, even with a name.
Oh.
I believe that. However,
you agree with that? Okay, all right.
If they got a name, they cost more. You're not going to, let's just call DJ Zach. You're not going to get him at that number because it's popular.
Yeah.
That's like saying, hey, DJ Kid Capri, can you hook me up a couple days? He gonna say, all right, I need 10 G's every time I walk in the door. Right? So can
he ain't bringing nobody with him.
No. Either you got the traffic or you don't. Right? Now you go to New York or you go to certain parts of LA, they coming out. And they're going to cover that in the first hour.
In Atlanta, it got to be DJ Jelly.
And DJ Jelly, no offense, is still local. You know, DJ Jelly can't go to 400 and command that same respect. His name is known, but that's a different clientele.
That's true.
You know, so there's different ball games. I think one thing we didn't say is what was part of our decision, and I'm gonna speak for you for a second, was how much the rent was.
Oh,
you know, you get a good number on the rent, that changes the formula.
And also something that you alluded actually said is you may see that we have these awesome nights and it's a packed crowd here. Understand to make it work, you got to put that right back in. If I sell, I don't know, if I have a $20,000 month, understand I have to pay the next month to have that again. I'm going to have to pay $13,000 just to get those sticks back in. You know, so it looks good, but it's patience, it's time. But understand, anybody that's trying to start their own business, do anything, just remember, you have to put it back in order for it to continue.
Absolutely. So all that money that you see or sales reports that you see people post on the gram, on Facebook, whatever, I always say it's those three things you never calculate when they post that money. You know, because they look like, oh, I had $100,000 a month, $60,000 a month. I'm like, yeah, but what they didn't tell you is, one, they got to pay taxes on that money. Two, the money that they have to pour back into it to make that kind of money again. And three, I forgot what number 3 was. It was only 2 then. All right.
So it's 2, but even with the taxes in the tobacco business and other businesses as well, it's not just the sales taxes that you're paying back. You have to pay tobacco tax. And in Georgia, it's 23%. You go to New York and California, it's 50 and 75%.
So they get complaining on the cigars, I smile like, bro, I'm eating a lot of costs while you're talking.
Right.
You know.
And understand on tobacco taxes, it's not about what you sell, it's about what you purchase. So if I purchase $20,000 worth of cigars in October, November I have to pay 23% on that $20,000, and I may not have sold that much.
Right.
So I have to pay what I purchased.
So how do you explain this? How do you get this over to your wife? What's that? Where she be like, oh man, we had a good month. You like, well, no, man.
I just have a supportive wife. We look at the bills, we figure it out, and we make it happen. We make it happen, and right now everything is going amazing.
Beautiful. So let's pivot a little bit. I know for me and Miko, one of the biggest things about the environments of a cigar spot, you know, lounge, anything like that is, how you saying this is it was a safe haven. It was also a safe haven for us. We started in our late 20s, and so we could go to a club, we could go to a lounge, we could go smoke hookah. But that's just peers. What we really wanted and we sought after was that male camaraderie, that guidance, that wisdom, and it don't feel the same when you listen in the Future and smoke a hookah with some women. You know what I'm saying?
I don't smoke hookah, Mark does. But yeah, you are. You got one in the house.
Hey, if I can say in plenty of lounges, but I'm gonna speak for mine. I've seen tears from grown men just because we're having life conversations, whether somebody's going through a marital issue, and they talk about it. It's not a plan that's what we're going to talk about, or that's what they're going to talk about, but it just happens. I've seen in their church happen in the lounge. I mean, it ranges. It ranges from, you know, whether we talk about women, whether we talk about relationships, just whatever. It happens at the cigar lounge, like they talk about happens at a barbershop. It's like that same thing. It's therapeutic. It's therapeutic for a lot of people. They can get a lot of things off their chest. For one, this cigar here, for us, it puts everybody at an even playing field. We get doctors that come in, lawyers, and you get somebody that works
cloud engineers,
right. You know what I mean?
Uber driver.
Well, but it puts everybody at the same playing field. So it gives everybody the opportunity. I can't just walk into a hospital and learn something, but I can sit in the cigar lounge and talk to a doctor and learn something, and that doctor can learn something from me as well.
I think if I recall, I went through my divorce at the smoke room. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what's a moment for you that stands out?
That's it. Used to sit in that corner by myself, and the bartender, we just shoot the shit. And I was talking like, man, I'm gonna get raped, you know. And it took me
2 years, Mom?
2 years to get out of my divorce. And you know, that's a long. It took him 4 years. And me and him, you know, as best friends, we talk all the time about it. And when I went through mine first, he was like, "You good?" No, nigga. Excuse me. This thing ugly, you know. You know, when you're a grown man, you've been married 15 years, and you gotta get an apartment. That's a real deal.
Yeah.
I'm used to being in a home, separate. You know, but you do things for your kids, you make decisions, and I went about it the right way. Me and her still we good. We raised kids the right way. We got great kids. They all out of school. They never got in trouble, so I praise God for that. Now with this though, she been wanting to come, but I was like, nah, child. I ain't there yet, child. But you do have those moments. You do have those moments when you sit down as men and you have to talk. And that's to me what is the enjoyable spot.
I say, so the last week we did a podcast, and sometimes we go out, hang out. Sometimes we just talk right after the podcast. And last week we went out. Me, Miko, two of the other guests, John, AG, shout out to him.
District.
And we basically went from smoking a cigar, doing the podcast, to going to a cigar lounge. And we just talked and chilled and met people and engaged. And it was calm. It was just that level of ability to connect. Because between us, that's 2 generations. Where we normally probably wouldn't be into the same thing. They ain't going to no K-Kelp concert with Miko. Neither am I. And Miko ain't going to no Earth, Wind & Fire concert. So, but just the ability to be in the room with them and get game and just talk. And sometimes you think, as a man, you kind of isolate yourself sometimes. You think that the problems you got are your own and you're going to go through them by yourself. And sometimes, you know, you hear one voice. For me, I hear Miko's voice. But what happened when I got Miko's voice, I got John's voice, I got AG, I got Bailey, you know what I'm saying? You get a culmination of these ideas to either validate you and say, all right, you're on the right path, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes you empower them to check you too. Say,
hey, the funniest thing, so
no, that's it.
Funniest thing, I bounce stuff off my boy Mo all the time. But I don't always take his advice. That's Mo with that. And then it's about 5 of us in the clip, right? And then I got another set of friends, 4 of us, and I love it. Like, shout out to Luke, shout out to KK and Young Fred.
Mo, has anybody ever told you like a dude from Field Mom?
No, I was thinking Candyman.
Who?
Candyman. The great reason. But it's funny when I call Kim for Sheldon and Terry and bounce it off of them, and they give me some validation, and then Mo circle back around. And I said, yeah, I talked to Kim. And he said something, fool, I told you that last week. That's like, man, I just had to hear somebody else. He said, and you just hang up. You're an idiot.
And sometimes it's, you know, you hear these reoccurring voices. You know what I'm saying? You hear the same person. If I call Miko, I probably know what he's going to say.
It's one voice. And it is what my dad taught me. And if you really need a voice, go to your parents. If depending. But I know,
I'm about to say
but I know me and him and our fathers were very influential in our lives. And that voice is scary. But what my dad would say is, when you hear a common voice from good friends, it's really not them, it's God talking to you. Because they're using you as a vessel. Using them as a vessel to get the point across. So when you have really good friends with real love is a symbol of God. That's my firm belief. Right? So if you have that, you know, you got a godly friendship, that's that. You know, that's when, you know, grown men, we don't cry much, right? But if my best friend dies, or not gonna would anything happens, that's a tear coming down.
He gonna come back again.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, but I want to say this. I would say my most memorable. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I mean, at a GD level.
Yeah, a similar to
You put it on mute. It looks like the RM word.
You know where you're going.
Okay. Back in the day.
There you go.
I had a. I remember I was at a certain cigar spot, and I was having a great time. A lot of people who know me know I can sometimes be boisterous. You know, a little. I use that word, right? I mean, all right. And so they're having a conversation, and these dudes walked in, and these dudes were fly. I ain't gonna lie, these dudes were sharp. Okay, and I was like, all right, it's all good. I'm still gonna get mine. You know what I'm saying? So, we ended up having a great time, and it was this beautiful girl. And so I'm trying to talk to the girl, and we talking, having a conversation. But I couldn't find out. I ended up talking to this other dude, and so I'm talking to the other dude, but I'm really trying to still talk to the girl, and I'm literally 2 more responses away from getting the phone number. 2 more.
So you think?
I know. I've been in this before. So I'm 2 responses away. And so before I get her phone number, I start building up this great camaraderie with these brothers who walked in with flyers. We start talking black this, pro-black this, just all this history and everything, throwing everything at them in my book. And so before I get her number, I exchanged numbers with the dudes. And come to find out, one of the dudes ended up becoming one of my best bros, John. And that was his girl at the time. So I didn't get a number. But I met, that's why I met. I was working. That's why I met John. And hold on, and that's why that's why I met Todd too. Todd's here though. Todd definitely. This before he had the dreads. We used to call him. Remember the dude from Equal? Yeah. The Red Tape. That's what he used to call him. And so that's why I met these brothers, man. And these are some of the brothers that really went on to change my life. And that's just some of the bond. And I'm the young dude. You know what I'm saying? So that's the bond that you make in these cigar lounges and the brotherhood and networks that you build in it. Like these are, like you said, these are real power players. Not just doctors. These are consultants. These are different owners. These are podcasters, journalists. Any profession that you could think of, they're in there. And like you said, when we all like a cigar, no matter if you're a construction worker, no matter if you know what I'm saying, but we all on the same playing field when we like this stogie, and we get and you open up, man. Like I know things about them, and they know things about me that we don't even go home and share with our loved ones. You know what I'm saying? So that's what was that?
Tell the women everything.
Oh yeah, no. They gonna always see the bad.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We ain't gonna be no fool. But so yeah, that was one of my most standout things. Capital. Stop it. Just one put a top on me, which I was saying. That's what I'm
Stay in your vocabulary age group. If you on the 11th grade, stay there.
I can be great. I'm gonna try to stumble forward. All right, go ahead, John. Yo, what's your
Memorable.
Yeah.
I really don't have that.
Keep trying to tell them every time.
For me, going to different lounges, I'm a sit back, alone person. I go to a bar by myself, and not talk to anyone, but I observe. And one thing I observed is the brotherhood and sisterhood that happens in the cigar community that I really enjoy. And with me, I'm a pretty quiet person. But my grandmother she used to always host things all the time. She used to love to entertain people. And I think that's what really brought me to what I'm doing now. Even though, they can have the broadest conversation, and I really don't get in it. Especially for me, as a cigar owner, I try not to get too deep in other folks' conversations. Because people take things personally. If I agree with this person over here, it may totally erupt something in this person, the other person, and they may decide not to come back to my lounge because they feel that they don't like the way that I felt on a particular subject.
Except when it comes to Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys all day. Super Bowl. But yes, I stay out of it. I don't get into a lot of conversation, but I don't have a necessary moment. But I just enjoy everyone else's moment and try to live off that.
So, yeah, go ahead.
What he's talking about is a social economic impact from the owner. If we come in and we say something that you don't like, and you don't like us personally, you don't come back. Right. That impacts my financials. So we try to stay out of it as best we can. Even though we got a feeling on it, and it depends. Like, we may be able to talk to you, but you can't talk to everybody with them.
So that's like when Jordan said Republicans about shoes.
In technicality, he is right financially.
Yeah.
Because if he goes left and say I'm a Republican, I might not buy his shoes. Right. He's staying out of that social politics because he's saying it's not my business, it's not what I'm trying to do. Now, there's a ground that as black men and platforms we can't excuse. Right. Because if we do, we're negligent at that. Right. And so it's a little different. A white owner can do that. A black owner, technically, in my opinion, cannot. But we have to be careful because it does impact. Dating inside here impacts the bottom line. As owners, if we date our community inside of our lounge and that relationship goes south, we lost the person that comes and the people that they bring.
So you got to date John constituents.
Yeah, I go to John's spot and do nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? Smoke, sit in my seat, and I shut the hell up.
I'm going to ask you this last question before we do our first intermission. We're going to break it. Yeah. So I want to ask you, brothers, we do care about our sisters. You know, we do care about black women. And that's one thing I've always been curious about as owners of cigars, cigar lounges. When I start to see women in these spaces, black women, I find it to be interesting. Because, like you said, it has a stigma. It used to have a stigma. It just used to be a boys' club. So how have you all been so good about ingratiating women so that they are here and they feel welcome and don't feel harassed and they got to scoop through and, you know, people touching them the wrong way and stuff? Like, how have you all have done a good job? Because you all have done a good job. How was that process for y'all?
And I like the word Nico used, good. He could have used a bigger word, but he used good. He stayed his lane. That's what I'm saying. Right there.
Right. I think you have to. I mean, if you're business owner, you have to learn how to run a business. So that means everyone. If you go on social media right now to any cigar group, the first picture that you're probably going to see is going to be a female, a woman, smoking her cigar, showing her pictures and so forth. So why would I do anything to hinder her from feeling comfortable when she walks into my establishment? It's not that I'm going to give her more attention than I do anyone else, but I'm going to make sure she gets the same attention that I give everyone else.
Oh, you ain't
That's what happened when smart people think.
I think that is in a cigar game, we have a choice. Women have done more for the cigar community in the last couple of years, honestly, than men. They have come in and ingratiated us. They have come in and given us ideas on how to do something different. They have come in and say, hey, you need to make changes in your decor. They have come in and purchased. I'm going to tell you, when GTG came, I watched. Get Along Gang is a consortium and an organization that tries to help the community for cigars, right? And I watched who bought what. Then we bring our own humidors. We might buy 1 or 2 sticks to replenish that humidor. The women went and bought 6 or 7 and said, I'm trying to pay you. I want to make sure you're making money, brother. I'm not saying men don't, but that might not be the forefront of our heads. We pick certain places where we're going to sit our heads and have a good time, right? This is my spot. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But John has been a chosen spot for me to where I can get away. So that's where I go more than I go anywhere else. But what you'll find with women, they're more conscientious on that level, in my opinion. In my opinion. I have to talk more about blends and not just cigars, because we do hookahs. These young ladies come in and will give you an earful if that hookah is trash. Oh yeah, and they'll talk about what you should buy, how they want to smoke it, and believe it or not, some of them who don't smoke cigars will try cigars just because they enjoy your spot. So they will come in, and if you look at it, the reason why Home Depots and Lowe's and Walmarts and some of the bigger retail focus on women. When I was at Home Depot, one of the biggest things they did, there was a whole movement on bathrooms. And the ladies are in here, right? Why is bathroom big for y'all? You get ready in there. If you got a child, you want it to be comfortable. If it's not clean, you don't want to go in. But if you have a clean bathroom, what they figured out was the woman was shot more. And they'll come back over and over and over again. So one of the things I thought about when I built mine was that bathroom. And no, seriously, I built it where it's comfortable. There's a elephant in there. That's about prosperity. But we have a sitting area because women go in there together. So you had to think about why is the woman in your spot and what's going to bring it back. The biggest thing, if you have a bar, if you don't have a good bar, women might not come back either. That's another big deal for them. Do you have? We failed at something, and that failure taught me a lot. And I had to coach my team because they were very upset. And we did a brunch. A brunch failed miserably, right? But there was so many learnings out there. I was like, all right, so we can't do plastic work. I was going cheap because I wanted to bring the cost down so I can make a profit. But they don't want to pay $40 and not have it real glass. That wasn't on the forefront of my mind. So you got to cater to the things that they're saying is worthwhile for them to spend their money or your money. If they walk into certain,
if I gave her money,
nah, when they come into a room, and ladies, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. When they come into a lounge or a sports bar and they looking pretty and they're singing, they're doing their thing. If there are men there, the expectation of man knows certain things that they would like. If you're trying to get the number that you was talking about earlier. Right? So what does the wine look like? What kind of wines do you have? Is it in a real glass? What kind of glass of wine is it? Do you have a whiskey glass or a martini glass or a sniffer or a bourbon glass? All those things matter. And those were failures of blends that we had to learn from. And so I redid the bar. People don't know that. I redid the whole back bar so we can accommodate that because that matters. So when we bring the hookahs in, the hookahs matter to them because they don't know what type of hookah you got. So there's a lot of conscientiousness that you need to have when you're starting to do a business that transcends past the traditional view. He doesn't have to really worry about it. But he's a fast mover. He could potentially make more money, like Hot Ashes. I guarantee you Hot Ashes is going to kill him. Hot Ashes. Down there on 138. Yeah, he's killing it. Traditional, big humidor, couches, and that's it. So his labor is low, his rent is low, and he just turning cigars. He just turning, like he alluded to. So when you buy a cigar, we gotta do what? Replace it. Yeah. So we gotta charge you a little bit more than that one cigar to make it work. Right? Then we gotta cover the tax. And on the output of that tax, you gotta cover the sales tax. Then you gotta cover your overhead. On a traditional view, that business model is a lower cost model. So you have to be in a good location, as John is, that people can come in and be transients and buy cigars. So volume means more to him than the price.
Right.
So
and those small things make a difference. Like when you were talking about the restroom, that's something that we have in common that we probably never talked about. We worked for Home Depot, I worked for Walmart for 18 years. And running locations. And
I look like you work at Walmart. I knew you was funny. That's why you got to be.
But you know what was crazy is there was a lady that was going to different Home Depots and Walmart and just taking pictures of the bathroom, taking videos of the bathroom, and she was putting it out there. Right. So from that point on, I want to. Anytime I talk to anyone, it was about if your child you need to change your child. Are you going to choose this gas station that's just on the street, or are you going to go to QT? You're going to go to QT because you know they keep the restrooms up. Right, and it's the same in this small. It doesn't seem like it makes sense, but it does make sense. Glenn's restroom is nice and classy. Mine's not as classy, but it's clean. Amanda said it should have been.
On the low, but yeah.
I made it loud, should have been. But I think it's important. So I have those things, and we have those things in the restroom to make sure that it should have been. Shit happens.
Nico, say shit.
First off, my bathroom is immaculate. Okay.
I'm saying they say
Got
word.
the candles laid out. That's why women come on my bathroom feeling great.
So you got retail.
No,
You gotta be. All right, so what we gonna do now, y'all? We're gonna take about a 10-minute intermission. Give people a chance to go to the shittable bathroom and grab y'all something to drink. If y'all want to grab a hookah or something like that, man. Everybody live. We're gonna play a little music. DJ 1, 2. And we're gonna mingle a little bit, so we appreciate y'all.
I'm right in
You can call me Big Drill, playing my song. Go a couple ones, if you throw away your bones. If you was there, then take a picture with my phone. She love my cologne, I'm in first by the zone. She was it poppin', it's going down. So your bitches on the booty, tell her get another round. And when I make it, it ain't money, I will put it round. She was one, sure as one, but down. And then I'm like, oh, girl, I drink for a star. Big on big digging, big car. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I don't need 4 6, cause I need more than one.
Right. I ain't heard it, dude. Nope.
I'm
Over there behind the seat.
I should keep calling my phone to get sexually. Every time I'm out, but she's stressing me. You call her Stephanie, I call her Stephanie. I don't know what girls for. I just want the neck, nothing more. So they make you cut, nigga, a part. When you tired of your man, give me a call. Bitches talking up their jaw. Last minute calling from the Lord. This night I've been calling for the Lord. They ain't getting 20, so they go. I can never lose, what you thought? And they got it all out, and of course. They say I got the juice, I got the sauce. These hands on my body, shit, I'm rich. Pussy on the 40 in the bed. I'm killing them, sorry for your loss. I just call the body with the mess. Now this jail really got me fucked. These hands on my body, shit, I'm more.
We about to start back.
Stay down from day one, so I stay for all your niggas. Except my niggas. Fuck all your niggas. Except my niggas. One more time. You know that you see it, right? Except my niggas. Fuck all your niggas. Stay down from day one, so I stay. Many shit so bad, we had to reach out. Home, let me take all the money, kept on putting it. Pour some of this Birdman, go put it, cause he know the shit is cut. Fuck it on the floor before we make it to the bed. Switch your ass really cost, started from the bottom, yes, Lord. OVO slam, and I'm proud of my niggas. You don't be making never down my niggas. All my bitches love me, if I had a baby mama, she would probably be richer than a lot of you niggas. Hey, that's luxury, dog. Day one niggas, man, you stuck with me, dog. Ever since you two niggas been calling me the leader of the new school. Fuck with me, dog, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to meet you. All right.
It's the time to stand, being a play, and following me with push. Flag on my hands, no quick run. I'm flag on my way up. Beat from the streets like a stadium. Lady Clark, show me how to get bro. You never everything I never stay, bro. It's the time to stand, being a play, and following me with push. Flag on my hands, no quick run. I'm flag on my way up. Beat from the streets like a stadium. Lady Clark, show me how to get you never everything I never stay, bro. Back in the day, when a nigga had 15, couldn't afford a new bed, I had no sleep. Couldn't think about the money, I had no dreams. I was big, was the back of the platform. I was trying to be flat and great, though. Come showing on my ass, no sweet, though. I'm checking on the road, and I had sex, though. Then I sleep with something going to check, though. Now a nigga probably put me on a quick kick. I wasn't know that I put a girl for a quick fix. In the session, I was feeling up in the business. Ain't no quick ball, bitches brick me. Never tried to lie, I was still thick. He wasn't talking, but he looked at me. I was always fucking good with a misfit. My opportunity was nothing and I missed it. Young and hard off the street. Two doors when I flow, I hop in the coupe. Two swords from a war, but I couldn't lose. Got scars from bruises when I got the proof. Resemble yourself cause I got the grease. You think you too pocket, I'm not as loose. Step in the mess with my tummy and loose. I'm getting in the stable and going in the it's the tower that kicks down. Being with a play, and following me with a quick stand. Flag on my ass, no quick down. I'm fucking on the flag on my way up. Beat from the streets like a stadium. Ready to show me how to make a cake, bro. You never put everything I never stick, bro. Since it's just the tower that kicks down. Being with a play, and following me with a quick stand. Flag on my ass, no quick down. I'm fucking on the flag on my way up. Beat from the streets like a stadium. Ready to show me how to make a cake, bro. You never put everything I never stick, bro. How come I'm to a when I'm a little bitch? You about to go by the love and go for the fixings. I made a thing to me, they go with some bitch shit. Didn't know I was rolling my hands for gifting. Boy, I was trying to get in my mix quick. Couple up with him, trying to get dirty with this. So another nigga after I thought was a kid shit. Throwing the both of my sets into the free shit. Respect, nigga, my nigga, you back down. I ain't doing nothing, you end up back down. His hands in my left, now it's into the flat now. It's like the wind, let's see it's flat now. I don't know what the fuck is that going on. I can be on the bed, you put the tray down. Make him run, it was funny, but scared of the gun sound. Make him stay, make him think about the car, you duck down. I ain't got no time for the face. If only you don't need to, I saw the place. I'm hungry, the only who come back to them. I'm like in the big cutting, there's not the snakes. I'm hungry, I'm eating, right off of the plate. I'm only, this my fucking take. I'm staying, I'm at it, I'm staying in place. The reason I'm up in is all up for me. It's the time that kicks down. Thinking of a plan to get quick down. Following me with a push down. Flag on my ass, no quick down. I'm feeling on the crowd on my way down. Beat from the streets like a stadium. Ready to show me how to make a cake, bro. You will live with everything I never stay, bro. It's the time that kicks down. Thinking of a plan to get quick down. Following me with a push down. Flag on my ass, no quick down. I'm feeling on the crowd on my way down. Beat from the streets like a stadium. Ready to show me how to make a cake, bro. You will live with everything I never stay, bro. Bitch, don't wear no shoes in my house. We got a coupe in the lot, 12 for swat, moving out the shells in the box. I just hit a lick with the box, had it with a steak in the box. Pour out the whole damn field, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deal, we can cut it like easy. She said that nigga so, told her wipe a nigga low. I'm a nigga, sell my soul, nigga take that, I got me wanna know. I was at that, let's stay that. Cruise the city in the bulletproof Cadillac, cause I that bag at got me water, got me water. They try to give me 5 mile water. I didn't tap down on the sun on the road. I had to trade for with my brain hole. Lot of niggas out here playing they mode. I put my whole arm in the ring and stuff. Ain't no pussy getting kicked for the fuck. Shotty baby getting double six, I bug. Gotta be there looking like a lick in mode. I got the slip up, my weak slip. Got the number about to get kicked to the city. Get it out the cool of the line. Time for a 12 for a swap. Bustin' out the bells out the box. I just take a lick with the box. And it's a stick in the box. Pour out the whole damn field. I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deal with
Woo! You're a genius. I'm a hero. You gotta take your mom. You gotta be a hero. I'm like, hey, stop, watch out! That's all you can do now. All right, I got the mic.
Check. Oh yeah. Listen, this is a voice I became acclimated to, like the words. I became acclimated to this voice at 13. I was on Black Planet telling women I was 16.
Wearing that hat.
No.
I know that hairline was gone about 13.
What are you a disrespectful? Nico never had a voice.
Oh, everybody here wearing hats. Okay, my outfit is the whole time. Oh, okay. We got that. Okay, too. Hey, Darcy, we know how we roll.
What I say? I'll take off my hat.
It's in our blood. It's in our blood. Let it know, bro.
Let it be known.
So yeah, Miko never had a deep voice. Miko, he just
had
had
deep. I don't know what you're talking about.
Miko just had height. He ain't really had a deep voice.
No, because I got height, so it take a lot for my voice to carry up.
No, you got the Joel and B voice. Much humble. So we're about to start.
We're about to start the next segment. We got new guests. We got Mo. We got Thad. We got. You want me to do the countdown? Go ahead.
5, 4, 3, 2,
The bloopers.
1.
Bust.
Black Men Cigar Podcast. We are back. We back. We still black. You know, we drinking and we burnt a little bit, but it's all good.
You was burnt before this.
So we got two new guests on the panel tonight. We're gonna have these fellas introduce themselves. We're gonna talk about what's so special about them, and then we're gonna get into dating in Atlanta.
Dating in Atlanta.
Dum, dum, dum.
We got dating in Atlanta. We got
Finding love in the city.
wasn't a singer. He wasn't the singer at all. He was in the background. Background.
I was just there.
No, actually,
What?
fun fact.
What?
Miko was a dancer. Miko was pop locking. Miko was famous. Miko, you want to share what video you was on?
You was in T.I. video.
Which one?
Hurt. Busta Rhymes.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Hey, Hurt. Put him in the dirt. Wait, but don't make me do the whole routine.
Miko was in that thing.
I still know it.
You know, Miko was doing them TikTok dances.
My MySpace page was lit.
Lit. Follow him on MySpace, Big Black. Okay, so we got Mo, man. We got Mo here. We got Thad. And y'all give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
This is Mo Dean, I go by Mo Dean for short. From Atlanta, 1880.
What part?
Decatur.
Hey,
Okay, East Side, all day. Okay.
All day, baby.
he was a Hillendale baby. That's fine.
No, great.
Okay. It can't fall.
Actually, if you're from Atlanta, you know a little bit of history about Atlanta.
Okay, school.
I actually grew up by the Federal Prison in Thomasville.
Okay. Miko
With a drive-in theater.
Miko grew up close to that. Miko grew up right down the street from Rockville.
So that's where I grew up. And then, we migrated to Decatur.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I became the East Side Rockville.
Okay.
But
Mary Campbell, is your man? Okay, before then. Okay, all right.
But first of all, before I get started, I want to give a shout out. Today is Veterans Day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to give a shout out.
Thank you for your service.
I want to give a shout out to all the military folks out there to make it safe for us.
Big fact.
Yes, made it safe for
Big
us
fact.
all day.
Big fact.
So much.
Water on me for all the veterans.
Bailey dad, what I call Pop, in the military. I brought my aunt with me.
Man, y'all stay in shape, man. What's going on, man?
Hey, Hey, Pop don't look like he's. Hey, don't look like he's 71. Hey, that Marines right there. Man.
I saw him on Instagram, man.
Yeah. That's Marines right there, man. But I wanted, first I started out, showing some love to them guys.
Were you military too?
No, absolutely not.
Why you think of this?
I was in the military in Thomasville, but
Yeah, I'll be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We want to give a brief shout out to y'all. Seen the sneak on camera. T, our bartender T, serving up the nice drinks. He gave me a smoked jack. That mixologist
to the bartender.
right.
Tip.
Miko a 5% tipper. He just got here.
Everyone will take it.
Let's actually Mo, something interesting about you. You want to share?
He like, which one?
I mean, I played ball at University of Tennessee.
Okay. Bolts.
I was drafted in '92.
Okay.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Played a couple years with Seahawks. Played in Canada, in Toronto. Retired with the Buffalo Bills in '96.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we chilling.
Y'all got something in common. Miko tried out for professional football. You want to share your story, Miko?
I don't think he does.
You guys are going to love this one.
Give it to me, Miko.
At that point, I knew I was a businessman. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, I just showed them there's other ways to be a great black man by using your mind.
A 6'3",
6'4". Get my hand.
Big for no reason.
got a professional body and a
Big for no reason.
professional NFL body that didn't quite.
But Mo, I heard you can throw a water bottle 60 yards. In Tennessee, that's what they say. Man, they say everybody got it on.
No, I ran the ball.
What position?
Play running back. That's what happened when I ran the ball.
Oh, you play with the... Mark don't even watch sports. I don't even know what he's talking about.
He know that though.
Right.
You look at that. He know that. He know that.
He old. He put some moves out. Were you with the Bills when they went to the Super Bowl?
I got there the year after they went to the they went last year they went with 95. I got 96. Yeah, absolutely. I was there at the Super Bowl.
Okay, we're gonna have some stories. All right, your turn.
I'm bad. I'm one of the managers here. The rest is fat.
This is Thaddeus, buddy.
Thaddeus first. Thad for sure. I went to Tennessee State University.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I went to Tennessee State
He
went to
UT like they was there at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. We was in Nashville. You was in Knoxville.
Oh.
You said Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, Chattanooga.
Yeah, no.
Actually, just so everybody, I always have to do this, but it's the same college Terrell Owens.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh, that,
right.
I was
getting drafted. Terrell was coming in as a freshman. Yeah. So actually, me and T was together last weekend at our homecoming. So we spoke to the team and
you drunk some of his wine?
I've tasted.
Good.
Not bad.
I don't believe you went to Tennessee because you ain't said Maine one time.
Shout out to what?
You ain't said Maine one time.
He ain't even up that long enough.
It ain't Tennessee, that's just Memphis. That's Memphis. That's not Tennessee.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I listen now. He ain't say Charlotte neither, so that's why I'm confused.
Hey,
man.
I'm 52.
Okay.
He's too old to say Charlotte.
I'm 52 years old.
Okay. We're gonna also give a shout out to Tia. Came through with the hookah, still hookah.
Mark want to shout out the whole staff.
That's my protege. That's my protege.
Right. And I want to give a personal shout out to my little sister who be hooking up the hookah at the house.
Hey, shout out to Asia.
Hookah hoppers out here, man.
So hold on. Why did you go to Tennessee? You from Atlanta, right?
I went to Tennessee State.
But why you
Because they gave me money. Oh. I was in the bank. I was in the aristocratic bank.
Who was your position?
Position?
I don't know.
I'm talking about what I played.
Yeah, I don't know on sport. I just know to do that twirling thing.
Oh no, that's drum baby.
Okay, drum.
I played two. I played the big ass.
Oh,
It's a tuba thing.
Like, I was the smallest one out of 20 and carried a 50, 60-pound tube. So that.
Can you still play?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't let me lose that. It's like riding a bicycle. Yeah.
That's dope. What made you get into the tuba?
It's the biggest shit.
So you used to get the free instruments in middle school and elementary school? Oh no, we ain't had that. I had the recorder. That's about it. They did it.
That's the one you started.
Yeah, they started. You know, that was free.
the little joint.
That was about free $20 something like that.
Yeah, see, I played the wild stuff. I started off with clarinet, trombone, trumpet, baritone, and then I went.
So that's how you get all the girls today. You like, yeah, you know, I play music.
You can't just pull up with a tuba.
That's what I'm saying. That thing big.
You gotta prepare.
Man, we
But
got
you know, the tuba is the bottom of the thing. Like the drums.
So let's make it way. I would tell
You know what I'm saying? See, if you was an HBCU student, when you heard that, whoa,
Miko went to a historically black alternative school. That's a fact, but you didn't have to put me out there. No, he did. I went to a historically black school.
all of us had to be great in our own way. That was always special.
Luckily, he didn't peak out in high school. Greater days to come. Okay, let's get into it though.
Yeah. So y'all basically have been in these Atlanta streets for a very long time, right? Some of us during Freaknik. You know, hey, it was a lot of time. Back Tuesday.
I was in elementary school.
Yeah, we missed it. Yeah, we missed it. But we
was in Seattle.
Oh, you
just heard the
I
story.
came home for free.
Oh, all right. All right. So, I want to ask you an interesting question. Then, what was Was there a difference in dating in the '90s during that Freaknik era in the city? Like, have you seen it change from where it was then dating to where it is now?
Yeah. I mean, during that time, I can speak from the 18 alien perspective.
Yeah.
I think I was sharing some conversation with someone earlier about how Atlanta was kind of categorized like country, you know, slow, this and that, which we were far from that. You know what I mean? But the Freaknik kind of brought people to see how Atlanta do it, how the South do it, actually. You know what I mean? You had fast music. I had my cousin, actually one of the rappers back then, Raheem the Dream.
Oh, yeah. That was a
fun. So, you know, we had Raheem, we had Shadi, we had all these guys putting the A on the map back then. You know what I mean? Then if you had the mixtapes, you had, you know, Edward J tapes back then.
I remember Edward J.
You know what I'm saying?
Tapes.
You know, you weren't riding. If you had a ride and you weren't riding with an Edward J tape, you weren't doing that. You know what I mean? So for people to migrate to Atlanta during that time to see how the South and see how we were doing it in Atlanta, a lot of people started moving here, man. Yeah. And like I was explaining to the young lady earlier, believe it or not, Atlanta was a place for black people really to excel in business. There was a lot of opportunities for black. I traveled the world, you know, based off of what I did for a living. And every city I was in, it wasn't like that.
Did y'all used to lose to Atlanta because you was part of that nightlife?
Absolutely not.
He trying to play you.
No, you know
that ain't never picked up a football or a ball in his life.
But man, you know, it's fab, man. You know,
He was a choir.
fab is another conversation.
Gotcha.
But you know, it was a different vibe, different element. You know, people started moving here. People started migrating to the A. You know, they were looking at opportunities, looking at life was different. It was like LA on a different scale. You know what I'm saying? So So it's brought a lot of opportunities for people. You know what I'm saying?
So back then, when you were dating, like, was there such thing as where like, were the culture of dating women different? Like, as far as like, cause you know, now back then I don't know how it was really, but nowadays, you know what I'm saying? A chick wants you to cash out before you take on the date. So was it like that back then?
No, it wasn't like that, bro. It was old school back then. See, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media. You know, it was old school. You had to put work in the day. You had to go to a house.
Which one of them boys had the mouthpiece?
Yeah, you know.
Who had the game?
I believe Bailey is saying that because he's trying to.
He's saying that he had a little, but
he
was younger.
Oh, hold on. So Bailey had the game over you.
He had a mouth. I'm gonna tell you this. I groomed that motherfucker. Let me put it out there. But I would give credit when it do. He had a mouthpiece.
Oh, he did?
Oh, he had a mouthpiece.
So what you just be like, yeah, you know, I got a game today.
I ain't never used.
I know Bailey on camera, but Bailey, you had a little girl. What you had, Bailey?
Real talk. This is a true story. So remember I talked about my hair and all that. I actually took care of her. Bo used to sell me cars that he was GM at a dealership. He still is. And he would always give me the fly car for the wife. So when I got, and I always had the magnet car. I took the hand-me-down. When I got divorced, we would go out. I remember one time we went out, he was like, hey, bro, we need to talk for a minute. And I was like, you know, what's up, y'all? We good. He said, nah, we not. I'm going to need you to change your whole style.
Right. I had to get his bump.
Right.
He was out the game too.
I was out the game. He turned me on to his tailor.
Okay.
He got custom-made suits, custom-made sports coats. Then he was like, man, you lace you up. And I'm like, I was driving with a Ford Taurus. I'm like, I'm good. He's like, you got to do out. No,
you're not. You're not good. I was like, Kevin Hart. No.
You was driving
You need a spare transmission. The Ford Taurus was a police car.
So I updated when the SF Jaguars first came out. Bought a brand new champagne. Put some music in there. We killed them. We pulled on the BQE.
Yeah, BQE lounge.
Yeah, absolutely.
He in his Porsche. I'm in my dad. We walk in.
You know, you got to ride 911, baby.
It's necessary.
We moved one area. Then hardly nobody in there. All the women came to us.
So they see what you pulled up in.
Not just
No.
that, how we looked.
The curls.
And that's why I be trying to talk to Miko.
Yeah,
Miko done came up a little bit, so we
Hey,
got to give him a tailor.
At the end of the day, my whole thing was your presentation.
Miko, you cut that
I'm saying,
too old.
your presentation matters. Because I think
Let's do it. Let's get some game to the fellas.
Right.
On how to.
man, when you come out there,
Yeah, let's do that.
when you call yourself going out and you finish, you feel yourself.
Talk to him.
You know what I'm talking about? You say, I'm finna go ball out, I'm finna do this. But then make yourself presentable.
Let me ask you this. How do fellas lack or slack when it comes to going out to try to, bag them a woman?
They wear teddy bear shirts.
How are they messing up? What are some of the things that they doing that's just...
I think times have changed because, me personally, I would never wear my pants on my butt. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's just the way I go to work every day.
Yeah.
It's the way when I go out, when I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna have a bow tie. I'm gonna have a shoe tie. I'm gonna have custom shirts on, cuff link. My shoes gonna be. If I ain't spend $200 on my shoes, then I ain't wearing them.
It's $200,
$200, $300. I ain't wearing shoes. You know what I'm saying?
So you said a lot of dudes sometimes just come out the house looking like anything and expect their personality.
But you attract the level of women the way you present yourself.
Absolutely. Ladies, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right.
So we wanna put it out there. Just because you got a nice hairline, Miko, don't mean you can't put on a nice hat.
Don't mean you can walk out with these teddy bear shirts and these ripped jeans trying to look 21. You got to let it go. They ain't listening to Young LA no more. They ain't listening to Travis Porter.
So Dad, I want to ask you, what advice, how do you feel like a lot of dudes, a lot of black men in particular, are slacking when it comes to trying to date in Atlanta? And what advice would you have for them on how to have a better success rate at being able to engage in women?
Because Thad looks like a smooth guy. Calm demeanor.
Dad look like he plays card all the time. I'm gonna be honest with you. He plays card all the time. Hey, okay, brother.
That means a lot.
Hey, Thad, at the end of the day, Thad, your romantic market value is here. And that's why I base everything on your romantic market value. You know what I mean? We can be out here fronting in these streets. You can Instagram like you doing this and doing that, and you can show all this. But at the end of the day, what's your credit like? What's your investment like? What you bringing to the table?
Right. So you
I can give a breakdown of a woman a lot of time, and this is no disrespect. But I can pretty much categorize her based off certain levels of conversation that I would have with her, and there was bullet point questions I would ask her, and it would tell me everything I need to know. Who she kind of man she like, who she dates, kind of credit she got, where she live at, and what she brings to the table.
Oh, so the table is important for you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So talk about because that's been a
want us to bring.
Oh, you got the table and the turkey. And here's the thing: I don't need a woman's finances or anything. The thing is, you want to know that at the end of the day, everybody have at some point in life you have a hiccup in life. You know what I mean? So if you have a hiccup in life, so if you have a hiccup, you want to know your partner got your back. If she have a hiccup, you want to know. She want to know you got her back. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, you're right.
So
Sure, you're right.
it ain't my dad. One thing about my old man, my parents married over 50-some years. God bless my dad. So he passed 3 years ago. Don't count. But my dad always said relationships is based off 100%. You give 100, she give 100. It's no 80, it's no 20, it ain't no
50.
It
So
ain't
you're
none
right.
of that. It's 100, period. You know what I mean? And if you do that, and everybody's on the same page, and there's communication, not when it's convenient communication. There's communication where you guys sit there and say, you know what, baby, and no one egos in the play.
right.
You can say, you know what, baby, I looked at that wrong. I'm sorry.
So Mo, so what you're saying is it shouldn't be based off of just because I'm a man, I should be taking care of everything. It should be based on capability.
Absolutely.
Who's best at doing what?
Absolutely.
Who can give what? Who can sacrifice? But it's 100%. I'm giving all my effort, and I like that. What you think about that?
I think the same thing. We should be each other.
Yeah.
So my weakness should be like separate. First step should be what y'all can go get the weekend. We should be.
What you think about that, Mark?
So as some people know, I'm newly single. I'm out here again.
Hey, you out here?
Shout out to Lala. Had a couple guest spots, so I was the married man's voice on her single woman podcast. And so I got a chance to sit back and look, and now being back in here, before I was married, I had concepts of things that might work, and then my marriage showed me what I'm really capable of. And then
They always say a woman is gonna make you prove to be the type of man that you are.
I think that's true. Your situations too. And it's not just relationships. It's if you a boss, if you people talk that now, if you're a boss, you gotta have production. You can't just say what you are and manifest what you want to be. You gotta, that gotta be action.
Hey, you know my word and my favorite thing is every man ain't born to be a king. And that's always been my thing. You know what I mean? Every man ain't born to be a king. You know what I mean? So when you represent kingship, women recognize when you represent kingship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
you can't be no man sitting here making all these demands of women, and you not willing to pay the cost to be the boss. You're not taking charge of responsibilities when things go awry, when things fail, when things fall apart. Are you willing to stand in front of that bullet first and get up and stand in front of it again when it happens? That separates the men who are leaders versus the guys who are just posing. And I think we're in a time now, especially with these and male influencers out here, which they're great because they're raising the voice of black men online in the relationship spectrum because we've been quiet for so long.
right.
But the sad part about it is it's also falsely uprising a lot of men who aren't built to be kings or meant to be kings to feel entitled to kingdoms.
I say
over women.
I say this too. When it comes to that, I think that people gotta assess what they everybody got what they want. Everybody wants the top 2-3%. One, are you deserving? And this is men and women. One, are you deserving? And two, are you gonna produce on yourself that type of person that's gonna receive that? So when we talk about, I see a lot of people talking about what a man's supposed to be. And the question is, when you find that man, as a woman, if you find that man, is he gonna want you?
Hey.
It's a lot of, we get so caught up in our own desires that we don't assess what the person that we want.
But see, we going back to the old school versus the new school now. We I think we've gotten away from actually courting, dating, getting to know
I agree with that.
a young lady.
I agree
Getting to know, I remember dating you. I couldn't take this young lady out until I met her dad, until I met her mom. You know what I mean? All that stuff don't matter no more. It's about now. I think social media has took over so vividly. You know what I mean? And it kind of have misconstrued the way dating should be. You know what I mean? Dating should be like, hey, how you doing? My name is Mo. You are. Yeah. Hey, where you from? You know what I mean? That's it's conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's conversation, and now it's
transaction.
It's transaction, and it's my Instagram. I got 10,000 views. You ain't, you know what I mean? That ain't it.
Right. So let's go into this. I want everybody to touch on maybe 2 or 3 things y'all think as a man that y'all think that is missing from dating, characteristics or actions. Because we're gonna ask men, but I'm also gonna ask some of the ladies what they think is missing from men in the dating market right now.
I think you got to go women first.
You think we should go women first?
Yeah.
All right, let's. We need some.
Who brave?
We need some brave souls.
She got a smile right here.
You ain't gotta get on camera. We just passed the mic.
Hold on. Lala.
No. We need Lala first because Lala got a platform where she talking about her dating experiences. So Lala, what's 2 or 3 things?
I think Lala be exaggerating, being honest.
Man, Lala.
You have not listened to
Lala's in a different market too, and so she in New York.
Pass her the mic. Hey,
she got the mic. So Lala, let's hear a few things that you think is missing from the dating market. Lala.
3, Lala. 3.
Okay. Transparency.
Yes.
Transparency.
Yes.
What you mean by that?
Okay. So I realized that for me, like, word vomit is my problem. I don't have an issue with sharing. I don't have secrets. Like, if you ask me, I'm comfortable with sharing. Right. And so I find that sometimes I realize it's the positioning of the questions that we ask you guys that make it a little bit uncomfortable, but definitely being willing to share and like open up and empathize and like be a little bit vulnerable in the beginning. We don't need you to show us all your scars, But if you show me that little bump that you got, you know, that girl pushed you off the scooter when you were like 6, like, let me in. Give me a little.
Is that something that he should volunteer, or is it a prompting thing?
No, it's gonna come up in conversation. Like,
are you gonna use that against me?
I'm about to say something.
Am I gonna use what against you?
That's not true. You're right. Because when I'm transparent,
no, I need that. Like, I can't use that against you because I need it also to thrive. Like, for me to thrive and for me to also be vulnerable, I need that.
Do you initiate that?
Hold on. I want to highlight that for 1 second because, and I said that, and it's funny. I barely recognize that too because a lot of men want to be vulnerable, but a lot of men have also been in situations where that vulnerability has costed them later down the road. Because if they do something that's reminiscent of that vulnerable experience that he had, she'll throw it in his face, and then he's like, see, that's why I can tell.
I don't say that. I'm call bullshit on those. That's not great.
I would say this, honestly, we get triggered every day. Let's be honest. I'm not just triggering you. We run into triggers on a daily basis at work, at the grocery store, in the car, at the red light. That person in front of you who didn't press the gas when the light turned green. Like, we're triggered all the way around. Like, so why should my question trigger you in a way in which you cannot respond the way that you would?
The difference is the distance, right? The difference is if you are my confidant, then I lean on you and I'm vulnerable, which is not a space that men are always accustomed to. If you're the person that throws it back at me when you angry,
it's the throw it
back. It's vindictive and things like that. Because there's a lot of people out here, and the dating realm happens so rapidly. So if I go on 3 dates this month and everybody want me to be vulnerable, but 2 out of 3 of them women, it ain't just about me being triggered. It's about how vindictive you are when it comes back to my vulnerability.
Well, I was just going to say,
why do we always have to? I'm sorry. Why is it that we always have to understand that your feelings can get hurt when we get to that point where we say something? When for us, that's one thing about women, whether it's black, white, doesn't matter who we are some strong individuals. Think about it. God made Adam, and he looked at Adam and he said, you know what? You're going to need an Eve. Right? And so an Eve is someone that we know how to prop you up. Right? So I saw somewhere where someone said that when you say that women are strong black women, I don't always want to be a strong woman. Or even a strong black woman, right? I want to be able for you to say something to me and understand that it's going to hurt me. Right? But however, everyone knows that women, when you feed us stuff and when you give us stuff, we're able to just absorb it and take it in, and then we are the ones, right, Lala, to have to be able to be the strong ones, right?
Some of that's a little bullshit.
No, it's not.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. So for a man, So for a man, we have to be strong for you, for our kids, for our mamas, for our aunts, for everybody. No. It only becomes. Let me finish. It only becomes a like-mindedness when you're alone. And that's when all y'all have to be that level of strong. So that's why you shake your head. That's why there's not an equality to strength in a relationship. That's the confusion part. When a man is stepping in zone, his level of burden is way different. So when we give you that vulnerability and you one time use it against us, we're about to clam up, not say shit. We're going to hold it in. And that's when we go smoke cigars at the lounge and talk to the bros about that, because they're not going to do that. And we walk away with a level of intelligence. And this young gentleman just said to me, and I know this man for a while, but that's his uncle, right? And I know his father for a long time. They come to us with way more wisdom. And one of the things I'm going to say, when we talk romantic value, there's a two-way street to that. What Mo always tells me in my failed relationships, you talk too fucking much. Quit telling all them all your business. They haven't earned that yet. There's an earning power in a relationship. Until you have become that woman and shown a certain level of respect to us, we don't owe you our vulnerability because you don't know how to handle it.
Well, see, there
I ain't gonna say all y'all.
I'm gonna say most because how many successful relationships you been in? Because if unless you married and things are going great, they all fail.
But I mean, I disagree there. So, back to your question about what do you do about once you share. Well, I mean, our struggles are different, but the way that we carry is the same. Like the strength that should enter into the equation should be equal. The scales should never be tipped so far that somebody can't be picked back up. So, I mean, what I'm looking for is somebody to meet me, and I'm not looking to drag or tear them down. So for me, when a man shares vulnerability, I mean, I accept and receive that. I don't expect it. One, because I do know what you go through every day. I have younger brothers. I spent a great deal of time with my dad growing up. And I see what he went through, like what he carried. But I also got to see what the women carry. Like, we carry a load too that's a bit different.
And I agree with you 100%. Here's where the failure lies. Well, sometimes as men and as women, we get caught up in illusion.
Well, we're not even at the illusion part. It's what do you do when the vulnerability has basically been abused? Well, the unfortunate part is that you're not the only one with abused vulnerability. That's what has to be understood. I'm also walking in having been in situations where I have been vulnerable and it has been misused.
Let me ask you this, Lala. Let me ask you this though. Have you been in situations?
Lala up here.
Let me ask you this. Have you been in a situation with a guy where he didn't talk or be vulnerable as much as you needed him to be?
Honestly, yeah, a great deal because I am the talker, so I had to learn how to be quiet to create space for him to do both.
So here's because you said something. You said I want somebody to meet me, and that right there is what Bailey was talking about earlier, and the key difference between us and strength, because you will never hear those words come out of a man's mouth because we're not even looking for a woman to meet us because most of us know that we don't even want you to endure the things we have to endure. We're willing to go further than meeting us. We're willing to go find you and deal with you. All we want is just the cooperation when we get there.
And that's beautiful, but it would be nice if that was possible. Like I'm asking you to meet me because to set
listen, it's 100 yards. We'll go 90 yards. You ain't gotta go nowhere but 10 yards. That's just you literally coming out the house.
Nico, that's great. Wait a second. I've been trying to share my opinion.
Okay.
I've been trying to share because ain't no way. I'm sorry, you guys. But hey, nice to meet you, everyone. I want to just say, I really do listen to all y'all opinions when it came to Lala, when it came to the lady right here, when it came to Mo up here with the great jumpsuit, when it came to our last great guest. And I come to the understanding that you all are pointing blame, but when are we going to take the mirror and be like, hey, maybe I'm not looking at the person that's compatible with my vision of a relationship.
Oh, right.
So listen.
So when I say that, let me elaborate because everybody carries a weight. Everybody does. No matter what age it is, no matter what character is, what gender, what sexuality, everybody's carrying a weight. Now, when we start comparing them, then we say his battle is worse. My battle is worse. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a no. Excuse my French. Nobody cares about what battle you got. I'm trying to help you get through it. I'm trying to help you see where your battle ends. Where is your happy ending? Where is your retirement? Y'all don't ask these questions. Y'all looking at, oh, his battle is this. My battle is this. My pain is this. Her pain is that. Y'all asking for meeting in the middle. Y'all ain't even met yourself.
And I agree with you. And here's where the problem lies with that. Wait, and it's a hard task for women and men to get there because we're so consumed with being in character.
Exactly.
Everybody's trying to be a superhero.
And
you know what I'm saying? So your representative your representative
That old man.
because you've been hurt, you've been going through so much in your life. People don't want to acknowledge their childhood issues.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't want to acknowledge childhood issues.
I agree.
A lot of women don't want to acknowledge it. Men don't want to acknowledge it. So we bring those same issues into a relationship. And you may think, ain't shit wrong with you.
You think
know what I mean?
Else.
That's a fact.
They the problem.
It's normal to you because you always been that way.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So at the end, at the end of the day, until we all, as individuals,
become better people overall, the dating marriage not gonna be what y'all want it to be, and it's not gonna.
It's when you can walk in this bathroom right here and look in the mirror and say, you know what?
He on camera. You got
go ahead.
Ain't shit. I know it ain't shit.
I'll tell you that, and the next person gonna.
Every time I get up in the morning, I say, oh, ain't shit. It's when you can say, you know what? I realize that it all starts with me.
But that goes into transparency.
Absolutely. It all starts with me. And so when I realized that, you know what? My ass got the damn change.
At least take inventory before you go.
I take self-inventory. You know what I'm saying? Because
hold on. Lala, I want to hear your last 2 points. And I'm not, nobody's going to interrupt. We want to hear your last 2 points. You stated your one, which is we all need to be transparent. What are your last 2, please?
Next would be accountability.
Accountability
not just for me, but for self. Come on. Like, I need you to be able to check you. So when I come to say, hey, you know, this might have rubbed me the wrong way, or I need to talk to you about this, you're not standing on 10. You're meeting me where I'm at so that we can have a diplomatic conversation for resolve. And then
we all in agreement with that?
And then lastly, I'm really just somebody who can really have fun, like have a sense of humor. Like I can tend to be an asshole. That's for sure. But it's all like most of it is all in fun. So I need somebody who can't be taken so seriously and take everything so seriously. Humor, transparency, and accountability.
All right. So thank you, Lala. Pass that mic back. Thank you, Lala. Pass the goddamn mic. Thank you.
Lala.
Thank you, Asia.
Lala 2024.
Right. So it's a few things that I talk about. One of those things is it's a few things. When we talk, I hate the notion of the struggle Olympics. I hate when I meet somebody and because our struggles are different. We start at a place where you don't understand me as a black man, and then we get so caught up in that where we can't never get on the same page. And so sometimes you just got to realize that everybody got their hurt. And instead of trying to it's all valid. Right. And it's valid.
It's all
valid. Yeah, right. It's difficult being a black woman in America. It's difficult being a black man. And at some point we've abandoned in our quest for individuality and we've abandoned communal living.
I'm gonna say this: we have gravitated too much towards being a bachelor. As black men, especially, black women too, but as black women, black men especially, we indulge too much in bachelorhood. Our past communities have always thrived when we were united together as partners, and that was marriage, of course. And today, marriage may look like just partnership, but too many black men try to date too many women, and this is why This is why we have all these issues. Too many of us want to be players.
I agree. Well, it can't.
If you stuck
you can't put it all on the men either.
I said both. Did I say both?
Really now. Women don't make it easy.
Yeah, but
right. But that's not.
So
that's not,
when I say that, you got a man that's in a relationship, and then you got a woman that's just living, she's in the mix, and she might not care about you having a significant other at home. I don't want all your time like that.
But there ain't the one for you.
But listen, but
We
listen.
can always say no. We can always say I'm good.
You're not listening, baby. There's a small percentage of women that may think like you do, because the way society has presented itself, it's all about the come up. It's all about the come up.
That's true too.
It's all about the come up. It's all what you can do for me.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you got women. Hold on. Let me finish. Listen, I'm saying you got women. A man that's successful. He's a business owner. He's doing it. He got a lady at home or whatever. He's out with his boy, right? He at the bar. He's just being nice. Hey, what you and your friends drinking? Y'all good? Y'all what's about a drink?
No.
One out of her crew might say, shit, blah blah blah. Then he say, yeah, you know, they get in conversation. Yeah, my wife at home or my significant other at home. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, that's your business. That's your business. Then hold on, but see. No matter if we agree to this or not, the level of temptation is so high.
Serious.
And I don't care who you are, because somebody got your number. Somebody got your number.
But
listen.
Without buying a drink. So he's out buying a drink.
Hey, what other mic at?
Oh, yeah. I don't buy a drink without my
Somebody pass the ladies the mic.
You gotta answer that question.
Pass the ladies the mic.
He's out buying a drink without money and with a woman at home.
Somebody pass the ladies the mic.
First of all, my man need to be buying.
Who got the mic?
Why are you buying another woman a drink? Okay.
Hold on, we still live.
It could be no
So we
intent.
don't have
It could be no
I know
intent
y'all want to feel like this
Okay,
is
you're right.
Hold on,
It's a point of black establishment.
One second. We still live. I know we feel like we're in the living room just kicking it, but we need to have at least only one person talking at a time.
So who got the mic? Y'all got a mic?
And you're not gonna overtalk me. Not gonna overtalk me.
Make sure you pass the ladies the mic. I do want to hear that.
It's a mic for the crowd right here. You understand? I didn't know y'all was ready to give it up.
Go that way.
We asked about the mic.
Go that way.
We got. I can't see who else is right here, but I know we got a young lady right here.
Oh, we got. You want to say something?
No, we at least want 3 things that you think is missing from the dating market right now. Can we get that from you?
Is she in the dating
If you don't want to, we got the ladies right here. Can give their opinion. Do any of you ladies want to volunteer your opinion?
Yes, she does.
Pass the mic, please pass the mic.
She getting tired of your shit.
Who has the mic?
You don't never buy her nothing.
All right, right here.
Lady that wants to raise her hand, raise her hand, raise her hand.
Hey, but you know what? There's nobody tell her. Asia, give me the mic. Give me the mic.
You gonna get up and get it? You know what? Okay. So you know, so what we're talking about. So what we were talking about is the fact that when he was saying that they're out somewhere, he has a lady at home, he buys the other young ladies drinks. And I said, wait a minute, he's spending our money on someone else.
Problem.
Yeah. And I did say that's a problem because you don't spend our money on someone else. Then I thought about, okay, so if it's an establishment, you know, if your friend's establishment, you want to support them, that's different. Then there's a reason why you're doing it. But there must be a reason why that you are spending our money on other women. There has to be a reason why. That's just my thing. But Lala is going to.
No. Lala ain't doing nothing. We need your 3.
Oh, so my 3.
We need your 3.
So my 3 things. So my one thing is.
Lala want to come up.
Okay, so my one thing is transparency. Being open about just transparency. Now, just like Blaine said, that's right. There are some things that you do not need to know in the very beginning because we are getting to know each other. So I have to fill you out and see if you should be privy to what you should know that's going on about me. That's one. Number 2 is understanding. Understanding that I have a past,
No, you
right?
didn't. Nope.
Oh no, I didn't have a past.
Nope. If you got a kid,
So,
that's the only people you have sex with.
Nah.
If
I
not, you're
had
a
a
virgin.
past. So if my past should come up to you, then you should be willing to listen to what that past was about. Because guess what? You met me when I was standing up there shaking my little ass,
Wait, show us.
and doing my little dance.
How's that look?
So you
DJ?
know. So therefore, you know
Play
the
something
kind of
from
person
the
that I am. You know that I'm very social, that I like to dance, that I like to meet people because of how you met me. That's number 2. Number 3, that you are willing to talk, right? So communication, right? So you're willing to communicate because I am the kind of person that sometimes I do overshare. So I am the person that need to shut my damn mouth, right? But because I don't shut my mouth and because I share and because I don't feel that you should judge me, but if you judge me, okay, fine, you can judge me. But if you are willing to then judge me and then walk out, right? So understand that when you give me things and when I tell you that I care about you and I'm falling for you, and if you're not, then I need for you to walk out the door. Be honest with me and say to me that I'm not feeling this way and walk out the door because I'll be honest with you, I'm the kind of person that I won't leave. I will still stay around and try and keep pushing this until I get to the point where you hopefully will.
But if
So
you
I
walk
need.
out the door, I gotta go work for some new pussy.
Okay, but that's fine. That's fine. But I need for you to be honest with me and be man enough to leave me alone.
And you need to know what you can and cannot say.
And I'll say this. I'm gonna give it that in 2 seconds. I'll say sometimes before we get to that point, I think the idea of selecting an appropriate mate should be the first thing. And sometimes we select people out of these criteria that are superficial. Sometimes we want what we want and we hope that they are great communicators. We hope that they can provide this. And then we commit to bad decisions. We keep pushing him, who has never been the best communicator outside of when he got you. When he got you, he can tell you everything he got. He can tell you how he wanted. He can tell you what he's going to do for your life. And then you bought into that. And then she does the same thing. I know a lot of women who can cook, but do they like to cook? I know a lot of women that can clean, but that cleaning get outsourced real quick. And so these values that you have really ain't something
I be at work.
These values. Hold on, y'all. These values is something that we really we act like we assume these things because we can do it. But the reality is, if you don't have a passion for it, we talked about this last time. We talked about it when women say they can suck dick. But if you don't like to do it, if you're not invested in that, then it's gonna show over time.
But hey, I think we got to get back to the reality.
What's the reality?
The reality is you really have fewer matches than you think that you have due to social media and these dating apps.
That's a fact.
There's not a lot of compatibility out there for you. So you have to be a person to understand this. Just like in life, there's more instability than there is stability. It's the same thing in relationships. It's impossible and improbable for you to think your soulmate so happens to live in your city. They so happen to, work at the same job. That's not real. You have to work with what's best around you as a community, because again, we're getting back to community talk. And just like our ancestors did, you think my grandfather was my grandma's best pick?
Yes.
No.
Because
you think
no.
You think she and my grandmother's 6'3". My grandfather's 5'9". You think coming up, my grandma was like, "Oh, I want to give me a..." No, they made best what was best around them, and that's the reality I'm talking about. We have to get out of this fantasy land that this person is supposed to meet all these markers. That's not our reality. In reality, you're going to have to deal with what's best around you and what you have and make do with that. so that the generations after you can have it easier and better.
I don't want to settle. That's what I
Yeah.
See, here we go.
That's how
But
I
no,
said.
I get that. You get it.
Nobody want to eat the vegetables. Everybody want to be healthy.
We about to get into that in a second, but I get it to the standpoint of, and my grandmother told me, dating, she couldn't date now. It's complex. When in the times you're talking about, you had a zip code, or 2 or 3, maybe in a neighboring town. But now we get to these complexities where you never asked a man back in the day to be emotionally intelligent.
Never.
You never had these standards of
Never.
man. We got to get more.
Wasn't no meet me halfway.
We got men. It was very much gender roles, and we got to respect the fact that we're modern. These contemporary views that we have of people are very boxed in. And if we want to move past that, then there has to be a lot of understanding and a lot of grace given when we start talking about these things. Hey, my brother.
So can we all agree on that?
You're right.
I just want to know we making progression in this conversation. That's it.
So my theory is, I'm gonna say transparency. You don't get a lot of that. Everyone's kind of like you said, living in a fantasy world, trying to be the person that the other person wants them to be. That I feel like you dress a certain way to impress, to basically get this woman, but that's not you. And it's a lot of false realities, I would say, going on.
So what's your number 2? Number 1.
Number 2, I'm gonna say respect. Like dating in Atlanta, some of these women don't know how to dress. Like what I mean by that is like a level of respect. Like some women dress half-ass naked.
Oh, respect for themselves.
Well, respect for me too. I'm with you.
Oh,
twofold.
You know what I'm saying? Because I want to take you somewhere nice and have every nigga in there looking at you. I might slap the shit out of somebody because they keep trying to make eyes at you.
But that she can wear whatever she want to wear. But it's also
that's cool, but that goes along with upbringing. Like if I'm taking you to a nice, elegant restaurant, like I shouldn't have to be concerned about what the hell you got on or what you think is dressing up. So like you should know that.
But are you willing to work with her too, knowing that she likes certain things? Are you cool with her meeting you in a compromise?
I believe in compromise, and that was the third thing. You know, it's not a lot of. It's like either my way or the highway type approach in dating. Like I don't like that you doing this. Like if you just tell me that, it goes into the the communication standpoint. If you tell me what's wrong or what the issue that might be a red flag for you that I might can adjust. I might be open to adjust, or I might just say this is how I am. But
I ain't gonna do it.
But I mean, if you wanted to work, if you feel like that person is worth it, then.
No, hold on. Let's say that too.
I don't need to show my love.
Excuse me?
Hold on. That worth it. That person worth it thing. Again, I think that buys into a romantic ploy where a woman, especially because it gets marketed to them that, well, if you're worth it, he's going to do X, Y, Z. No, that's not reality. That's not reality. There's no if you're worth it. It's if y'all both believe in what you're doing.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, there has to be an overarching idea that's beyond the two that's in the relationship, right?
No.
So,
where we at with number 3, Thad?
Well,
That was third.
Respect.
Excuse me, I count like Miko.
Communication.
I want to hear.
want my woman showing my love.
Yeah, because what kind of?
I mean, I'm old school. Like that.
If I see you,
I just don't.
Hold on, no, because I hear this old school shit a lot. And here's
I
what
don't want it. I'm being honest. I mean, it's okay to look at, but the first thing out of my mouth when I see it, I be like, I will whoop my.
And we're trying to be fresh.
Old
Old school is I'm never leaving my wife. That's old school. We try to pick and choose what's what. No, it's these old. No, you're only fitting in that puzzle piece of the pieces that you like, not the pieces that make that puzzle complete.
Yeah, but you new school.
Yeah, but you new school.
You can't infer what's old school when you sitting at 35. And at the end of the day,
But I can pick up the history book.
You
pick up the history book and you read and you see how
there ain't no manual.
They
That
should.
goes
And
along
people
with
wrote
upbringing.
journals.
That
People
goes
conducted
along with
studies.
upbringing too.
Yeah, it's passed through upbringing. Like,
Yeah.
so I just don't like that. I don't like these notions that we throw out there of just picking and choosing. We mask it. It's just like somebody says that, oh, I got a bad temper because I'm an Aries. No, you got a bad temper because you got an Aries.
Let's go to
I'm just
the
saying.
That's bullshit.
I'm just saying. We gotta.
That's bullshit. Big dog, I'm gonna say that too. Big dog. I go to my phone. I go to my phone right now. I go to my phone right now and pull up. I can just go on Facebook. Or I can just go on Instagram and see how some of these women dress. I'm just saying, if that was your lady, I'm good with it.
But the other part is, if that's you, some people try to change the way. If you met her like that,
There you go.
because that's what she said. If
There
you
you
met,
go.
and one of my things is, I'm
But
not
see-
going to
but
say more
see-
from you than you showed in the beginning.
He's talking players club.
No.
At the end of the day, if you can tell me a man, as a woman come to us and say we can't graduate and progress and be better, why I can't hold that woman to the same standard?
It don't happen like that. What happens
Because
is,
you don't allow it.
no. What happens is on day one, you meet or wherever you meet her. You might be at a bar. You meet her at a bar and she dressed the same way.
That's right.
And then when y'all go out, she don't understand the club. That's speaks to the person. You can tip to it, but you can't expect from the next.
Why I can't? If she walked up to me and I'm a mechanic, you can't expect me to be a CEO.
That's
the
a-
same shit.
that's a-
You have aspirations to change the CEO.
But no, they have aspirations for you to change. What
You
is
met her because she was dressed like that.
But that's the conversation. Hold on. That's the conversation. No. That's the conversation we need to have.
I want to hear Ty is a married man. We understand he's married too, but I want to hear.
Was.
You said was. I said it was married. I want to hear Ty's three because Ty is a man I respect. I know he loves black people. He invests a lot in black men and black women, and he's married to a beautiful black woman. And I want him to share his three.
I think it starts with, even when I'm listening to this, most of us are lying to ourselves.
No.
For me, kind of what he hit on is I think social media has turned dating into popularity, and it's different between courting and dating. You were trying to date women, you need to be courting them. I courted my wife. I didn't date my wife. I dated plenty of women.
But where her friends at?
The difference is purpose. If you are dating, we didn't go out for 2 weeks. We spent every night for 2 weeks talking on the phone, getting to know each other. So the first thing I'm saying is stop dating and courting.
Yeah.
On the first conversation, you should know what your purpose is. Your purpose is to find a life partner. Then that's how the conversation starts. Vulnerability, openness, honest. Because if that's a person you plan to spend your life with, and that's your goal, and that's the plan you want, that's where it should start. So if you want to date, we can hang out. Back in the day, dating was women who took gentlemen calls. It was not, I go meet your family, I meet your brothers, I meet all the men of your family about you. That's courting. Yes. Women don't do that anymore. I shouldn't even be able to take you out on a date until the men of your family have approved of you.
That's old school.
That's old school. That's old.
If that's what you want, that's how you should be. Now we get on social media, we get on Tinder, whatever else you ask. I didn't meet my wife on the app, and I wouldn't have married anybody I met on the app. But that's the first thing. Secondly is when we talk about bringing in the past, we look at everything as a failure. I also judge people off that when I meet them is if the previous relationship you look at as a failure, that's already a problem for me. What you should look at it as a lesson.
Come on.
If you've dated and made mistakes, but you keep making the same mistakes, you're not learning. All you do is keep making the same mistakes, and I don't want to be the next one. So I'm looking to see, okay, you dated men, men have courted you, and if you're coming to me with those problems, that means you haven't corrected what's going on, wherever you chose those men. So we lie to ourselves and say, I want this type of man, but that man ain't for you. And that woman ain't for you. So me and you had this conversation all the time, you be like, I can't be a good woman. I said, you're going after the wrong one. You have this image, or as you said, a woman who dresses a certain way because she's fine and she look like that, but that ain't what you want. Why are you even wasting your time trying to date that woman? You already know what you want. If you know yourself, find a woman that fits you and go after that. And thirdly, I I've talked to many women, and I've always asked them, what are you looking for in a man? 42 years of my life, I've never heard a woman say love. The foundation of everything is love. Community, family, relationships is love. If that is not your goal, to have a man that will love you, regardless of what your financial status is, what you're going through, because you're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to go through depression, you're going to go through job loss, you're going to go through kids, you're going to go through everything. If that person, on the first conversation, you can't tell them your whole history of what you're dealing with, and they say, well, I'm going to be here to heal with you. I'm going to be here to support you. I'm going to go through some shit. Where I am today might be totally different in 10 years, but will you accept me for the man I am? My wife understood that, and she said, I'm riding with you. And what she went through, I was riding for her. So we must first get to know ourselves and love ourselves so that we can pour that love into somebody else.
So what we gonna do?
Goddamn, and that was the word from Ty.
What we gonna do now? We gonna end off the podcast. We gonna keep intermingling, but we gonna end off the podcast with our segment, Ask a Black Man. And so there's not enough conversations that are happening, that are progressive, and sometimes we just isolate ourselves among the people we want to date. So at this point, we're gonna have a couple of questions, a few questions from ladies. This is burning in your heart.
Burning.
You know, there's a nigga that did you wrong. You can treat it like the scarlet letter. Tell us about your whole experience.
Started with Kiki.
And so we're gonna start. Any ladies got any questions that they just want to know the perspective of a or some black men? We got one right here.
And it ain't even got to be a relationship, but anything you want to know pertaining to black men.
Let us get the mic over here to diehard fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good season so far.
Dolphins fan.
So my question is this.
I hope y'all trade two of them. Go ahead.
Don't play with me. I hope we do too.
Cam available.
Oh, yeah.
He don't watch football. He don't know what he's talking about.
Mark don't know what he's talking about.
Cam is done.
We got about 10 minutes, so let's go.
Mark was a
Okay.
kickball.
Behave, man. Question. When you're out, okay, this is not old school, but I'm a PK. And it says, he who findeth a wife finds a good thing. Okay? When you're out, are you out looking for a woman? Or are you looking for a relationship? Because sometimes, y'all don't know what you want.
Okay.
But you got to date in order to find out. But you also have to date yourself.
It's
Because until you said, well, yeah, it's 3 different things. But the question is, you got to know what you're looking for, what you want. Do you know? So you can't judge a woman based on what she dresses like. Because she could be educated, degree, making money, and just confident in herself. Her mannerism, her behavior. What are you looking for?
Oh, that's cute. We're going to start with Mo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's cute. He got his own mic.
Thank you for the question.
Where it is, yo.
He be up in the Young Folk Club.
Well, there's your answer.
He went all the way to smoke. Go ahead, Mo.
I mean, it's certain levels, I think, when men go out. You have some men going out to, say, look to find someone you want to get to know or whatever. And then some, just like women, and we ain't no different. And sometimes we just go out to hunt.
Old school.
We just go on the hunt. Just see, meet somebody, just want to have a good time. Right. I ain't trying to get married. I ain't trying to do all this. I just want to just meet you. We have a good time. We drink it up. We toss it up. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever leads to whatever. That's whatever. Those are the levels. But you got to understand and know what level you in. Because sometimes as men and as women, that level can be mind blowing.
And then you might want to revisit it.
Right, you might want to revisit it. You like whatever, but the significant person, that person for male or female might be thinking, "Oh, this all I'm about right here. I can't help you trying to boo me up, or vice versa." You know what I mean?
He just bought a drink.
You just bought a drink. I thought you were cute. And at the end of the day, women know one thing. I will always say this. women will know if they will give you some or not, based off what you look like in your conversation. Period.
Is he lying?
Am I lying, lady?
He ain't never lied.
Look, they
Ain't
quiet.
Leg twitching.
If he don't fuck this up, he might can get it.
Hey, some of them.
That comes with maturity, though.
I just said,
No, it
if
don't.
based
It-
off
it-
your
it-
conversation,
Some
and
of them
based off
don't
your
know
conversation,
they know just looking at it.
They like your
what
head.
you look like.
Some of them made the decision right now.
What's the next question, lady?
Hold on, next question.
Hold on. We gonna let
No, I said some of them know just by looking at you. When you, as soon as you walk up, it ain't gotta be a conversation every time.
Let me speak a little bit on
Well,
this.
I wanted them to ask us because we were short for time. I know, but they was gonna ask multiple questions. Each person answered a different question.
No, I want this one. So, I want this one. So this is
See,
what
this
I.
is what we go through in the pod.
This is what I think. I'm gonna keep this short. I think when it comes
Ralph
to
Trans, man.
when it comes to knowing yourself, I think people aren't amusing enough. I think we got a bunch of people with desires, and everybody wants forever. Why the fuck do I want to spend forever with an empty person? Why do I want? So I might walk out and be like, all right, Miko, we about to get some numbers. We about to find some women. And that might be all it is, because ain't nobody gonna be amusing in that amount of time. You're gonna be pretty, we in Atlanta. So if you think your bread and butter is being sexy, cute, and having a vagina that you gonna fuck me with, I'm just saying, some people baseline starting in there. What are you great at? Why do I want to choose you long term? Because if not, I'm not gonna abandon my agenda.
And what's your agenda?
To find somebody that I can serve my purpose with. I might want something long term, but just because I want something long term don't mean I'm gonna go out tonight and find that. Ooh. I might just see you and say,
tonight is a fix.
Right.
I said,
if you
tonight
go out with the
is
wrong agenda, I walk out today and say, I'm gonna find my wife regardless. I'm gonna end up divorced.
I'm only looking for tonight, but I can be convinced.
Right, because you asked.
And no, he's right though.
Didn't he say that? Didn't he say that?
Change your mind.
Hey,
right.
I can be convinced.
If we can start but if we can start with the understanding, that men want sex. Don't feel no way about him wanting sex.
No.
What are you beyond sex? Mm-hmm. You can just be sex for 3 months, 6 months, and one night.
Because if you get up in the morning, I'm like, where you going?
And a part of that is maturity, but the other part is, if you don't inspire me, then you gonna be what you gonna be. Next question.
Oh, wow,
Now I got a question.
Here comes the law.
This about to be loaded.
Lala, you gonna join us on my podcast?
Lala, you gotta click it up.
Lala, when you leave?
When we go to the studio.
When you leave, Lala?
Friday.
All right.
I can get back
Tomorrow?
to-
All right.
Not this Friday, next Friday.
That's the question, Lala.
Yeah. Okay, so I've heard this mentioned, and I'm in this place where I have embraced my body in a way that I've never done before. I'm someone who has struggled with self-image and body image issues, and so to reach this place where I have embraced my body and whatever I put on it, basically I am my muse. Okay, so forget y'all. I'm dressing.
So that's why you post sexy pictures on Instagram.
Oh, I post sexy pictures.
Hey,
Hell yeah, for me. And if you want to join in, if you want to pop in and see, that's
For
cool.
you is on your phone.
If not,
For us,
that's
it's for social media.
What's
What's the question?
My question is how do you address your partner when there is something of concern, like how she dresses? Because if that is something that is going to be an issue for you or something that you'll need compromise, how is that approach for you? Because I did, delivery matters.
My address is, how do you address it? I typically say, where you going with that on? But that only works sometimes.
My answer to that is, my answer is to take that shit off. Like that, I'm like Mo on that, where it's like, nah, that's a no-go. Because we represent each other. And if I allow you to dress like that, see, what I want women to understand is that when we go out, you're not only just representing us, but how I allow you to carry yourself would dictate how vulnerable other men see me as to be. Because they can see me as a weak man by letting my woman be out with me all skimpy. They like, oh, she might run him. That becomes a security threat to us and our lives. And that's why I want women don't consider security when they go out with their man because they're protected. But the protector has to always consider security. So we're not telling you to take that off because we want to control you.
No.
We're not telling you to cover up because we want you to control you.
No.
We're trying to cloak you. We're trying to further protect you, ensure that we get back home the same way that we left.
And to add on to that,
can you understand that?
Well, no, because this is the thing. When I go out, I'm not just looking out for me if I got a man. I'm going out and I'm looking out for him. The educational point should be in one of the educational points should start at home from the ground up. When you see a woman, how she's dressed.
But that's not reality. Again,
no,
we live in this.
That's
an
because
idea.
that's not what's being taught.
That's again. How long is that going to take? That's not going. That's not going to
it shouldn't take as long as Black American freedom should take, but initiative and action is necessary.
But the other
so
part too is, if you say,
hold on, what you're saying is very active. Well, he's talking about proactive.
Right.
I'm talking proactively.
No, you go.
I actually
you are for a female, for a male. This man is saying we already predicting how this thing gonna go.
Yeah,
we already know.
We gotta anticipate worst case scenario.
I'm gonna get one or two niggas gonna disrespect.
Nico, or anyone. How are you in a relationship with a woman that you already worried about how she dresses? Did she just start dressing like this after y'all been together 2 years?
Big fact. That's why those me personally, and we know those women are for play. I'm not disrespecting you, Lala. I'm just saying in general.
I know plenty of girls you don't care about.
And that's fair.
So
but that still doesn't negate the security threat that
the
poses.
second thing is, as a Black man, we should not be supporting it. Even if she's a stranger.
We are professionals.
No. You're pushing a narrative that says, based on a woman's dress, we should allow other brothers to respect her. If I go into that, how she dresses is not allow brothers. So whether if you gotta fight for her, you gotta fight for her. But we gotta not tell the brothers.
Hold on. She knows she in attention.
I get that. But regardless, if she get attention, a man feels he can put her hands on her.
One at a time. What we're saying is that there's going to be one or two men that has a less discipline of the relationship. That we already know we got to deal with.
So we got to straighten her. I shouldn't tell her she got to dress different because being scared to straighten her.
No, bro. That's exactly what I'm If I don't want to be in harm's way as a man, I don't act as a certain way.
Right.
If a woman don't want to be in harm's way, they got to act a certain way. We ain't saying they got to be all the way dressed.
You just said dress.
Right.
No.
That's like me.
on that.
Hold on, baby. That's like me flashing, and we all men in here. Most of us are successful men, accomplishing, especially on this accountability time. I know you personally, Montour. That's like us going out knowing that flashing cash is going to warrant the wolves.
Right.
So we know no matter if we got the bread or not to go out flashing cash. But it's improbable. It's not realistic for me to sit here and preach to all these group of strangers and men who don't know me from nobody to be like, well, brother, if another brother showing cash, that's his freedom. They ain't trying to hear that.
I know what I'm saying is
it's wolves out here, bro.
We had a deeper conversation. That shows a weakness in our community.
Listen, I don't disagree with that. That is, but until we get to that point, we have to live in the reality that we are in.
What started in the Black family to be eroded was the white male and how he infiltrated our family.
Yeah.
Whether it was to work, and I'm not saying that women shouldn't have a right to work and a right to elevate.
Right.
What I am saying is they knew exactly how to get us apart.
Yes.
And when they did that, we as men, Black men, did not handle it the right way. We'll take ownership on that.
Right.
Park that right here for a second. What we're talking right now is reality. The reality of the fact is every man wants to be the best man. And not every man is. Some men come take, some men come earn. But the men who are earning gotta fight for it every single day. And whether it's physical or mental, we gotta go through that level of day to day. Day to day, if I drive a Benz in certain elements, I already know what it could. I already know. If my woman is dressed a certain way, let's say provocative, keep it cool.
Yeah.
I already know that I gotta handle this. I gotta be more aggressive when I walk out there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about size. Mo 6'1", nice size guy. He might not get tested in a certain way.
Right.
I'm 5'7". I'm gonna get tested, and Mo be like, "Why you so aggressive?" You did.
That's what they say, Napoleon complex.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah, that's a fact.
You push me in that zone because niggas come and think, and I know we saying this on live.
Right.
I'm speaking the way I want to speak.
Right.
We walk in that zone and know that it's always a bigger and better.
Always.
Always. And women, and I don't mean no disrespect to the woman, they're always looking for that. So when you talk about love, love has a level of discipline with it.
Yes.
And if that woman don't have the love for you, she don't have the discipline and respect for you. She gonna always, man, this nigga over here got $1 million, you only got 200,000-300,000. That shit is a different comparison.
Big fact.
So if I walk in with my woman and what's up, dude? If Jordan walk in, guess what? It could be ball game.
Oh, big fact.
It could be ball game because his money longer.
Big fact.
Longer. And he push up on your chick. That's an indecent closeout. Real.
That ain't your chick no more.
Right. That could be not your chick.
He wants your chick to begin with.
No. It should have been. It should have been. She lied to me.
Right.
She lied to me.
But bro, I've been here a long time. You can tell the women who got that money from day one. Women who got that money from day one. Y'all are day
Every
one.
woman in here wants a man that's large that can protect her, not just physically, but financially. I don't care what you say. You can say that 15 minutes later. You can say that 15 minutes later. If you got a man in there that is elevated,
So we gonna wrap this up, Sam. I wanted him to hold on, y'all. We're gonna continue the conversation off live. But we want
do y'all want us to bring this back?
Yes.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Start off that day.
If we could, so okay. So what we gonna do in this? Give me 1 second.
Last comment, then we out.
Give me 1 second. We want in the spirit of Veterans Day. We want to just speak to one of our veterans, show our appreciation. Hopefully, we can get a few words from you.
A few words of wisdom, advice, guys.
Something about life, something about your perspective on love, if you will, for a half a second. And just want to show you some respect tonight.
Yeah.
So I know this
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. You can sit right there. Hey, you the man, bro.
Well, I'm over 70 years old.
Looking good.
I have quite a bit of experience behind me in this thing called relationship. Black people especially, we got a lot of.
Turn him up.
Yeah, you're good. Hold it.
You're good. They gotta turn you up.
We have a lot to overcome.
Yeah, we do.
We had to deal with our women and children being taken from us. Nothing we could do about it. And that's a horrible thing that is transisted with, because in many cases nobody has taught us better. We've had to learn the important things about life, and what's important in relationships, and marriages, and family. I've learned a lot in my life about relationships. I'm married to a wonderful woman now that I wish I had met earlier.
Yeah.
But life, you can't call it. You got to be ready in so many ways. Mature. Hopefully you mature. Get wisdom from your experiences. And there's no silver bullet, because people are too complex. We're too complex to paint people with the same brush. You gotta learn what's important and focus on that and build on that. That's all.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. And we want to thank everybody for coming out. Of course, it's going to be a continued conversation. We want to thank Dad. We want to thank John. We want to thank Mo. We want to thank Bailey. We want to thank everybody. Follow us.
Thank you, Lala. Thank you, Tom.
Thank everybody. Everybody on live. We
Black
want to shout out Blends 2 in Hateville. We want to shout out Ruby Blue
and McDonald.
Black Men and Cigars podcast. We live. We are black.
Follow us on YouTube.
Follow us on YouTube at Black Men and Cigars podcast. Don't like, subscribe, comment. We're going to continue having these live experiences. We're going to continue putting black male professionals, black male voices in front of you. And we're not going to agree on everything, but it is all out of love, man.
Absolutely.
We definitely want to get closer to y'all. So, thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all for subscribing. What you guys say, Miko?
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.